Hey there, storytellers and story lovers. This is Multiverse Harry. Prepare yourselves for today's incredible narrative. What if Wolverine found Harry in the cupboard and adamantium magic claws made him the Weapon X of wizards? A quick reminder: your likes, comments, and subscriptions are the fuel that keeps this channel running. Thank you for being awesome. Let's begin this journey together. Chapter 1. The Boy in the Cupboard. The stench of cheap beer and cigarettes hung in the air of the Rusty Nail, a dive bar on the outskirts of London where nobody asked questions and everybody paid cash. Logan wiped down the sticky bar counter with a rag that had seen better days, same as him. 3 months working this gig and he was already itching to move on, but laying low meant staying put longer than he liked. Another, grunted a balding man with bloodshot eyes, shoving his empty glass forward. Logan grabbed a bottle of the cheapest whiskey and poured a generous shot. Last one. You're cut off after this. The man started to protest, but something in Logan's eyes, that feral glint that said he wasn't like other men, made him reconsider. Smart move. Nobody here knew Logan was the Wolverine, the escaped Weapon X experiment with a metal skeleton and healing factor that wouldn't quit. They just knew he wasn't someone to mess with. Logan. My office, called Marv, the bar's owner, from the back room. With a grunt, Logan dropped the rag and headed through the swinging door. Marv's office was a glorified closet with a desk crammed against one wall and stacks of liquor boxes against the other. Got a side job for you, Marv said, not looking up from counting bills. Guy owes me money. Normally I'd send Danny, but he's laid up with a broken arm. Not interested in being your muscle, Logan said flatly. Marv finally looked up, his jowly face creasing into a frown. Double your week's pay. Cash. Tonight. Logan paused. Cash meant mobility, and mobility meant staying ahead of whoever might still be looking for him. 3 years since he'd escaped the lab, and he still slept with one eye open. Who's the mark? Some corporate type in Surrey. Vernon Disley. Lives in a nice neighborhood, little whinging. Number 4 Privet Drive. Marv slid a piece of paper across the desk. Owes me $5,000 from poker. Been ducking me for weeks. What makes you think he'll pay me? Marv grinned, revealing yellow teeth. You're very persuasive. Logan took the paper, memorized the address, and crumpled it in his fist. I don't hurt civilians. Just scare him a little. Guys all bluster. Flash those fancy knuckles of yours if you have to. Logan's jaw tightened. Marv didn't know about his claws, just thought he carried brass knuckles. Better that way. Double my pay. Tonight. And I do this my way. Deal. Number 4 Privet Drive looked like every other house on the street. Neat lawn, trimmed hedges, and that suffocating sameness that made Logan's skin crawl. Place like this, everyone pretended not to see what happened behind closed doors. He'd watched the house for an hour from across the street, noting the expensive car in the driveway and the woman with the horse-like face peering through curtains at the neighbors. As twilight settled, Logan crossed the street. Something made the hair on the back of his neck stand up as he approached the house, a strange energy he couldn't quite place. He'd encountered enough oddities in his long life to know when something wasn't normal. He rang the doorbell and waited, hearing heavy footsteps approaching from inside. The door swung open to reveal an enormous man with a bushy mustache and practically no neck. Vernon Disley looked exactly like the type who'd gamble away money he didn't have, all flash, no substance. Who the devil are you? Vernon demanded, his face already flushing red. Name's Logan. Marv sent me. He kept his voice low, steady. You owe him money. Vernon's eyes widened before narrowing to slits. I don't know any Marv. You've got the wrong house. He started to close the door, but Logan's hand shot out, stopping it effortlessly. The surprise on Vernon's face was almost comical. We both know that's not true, Logan said. $5,000. Now. I'll call the police. Logan pushed the door open wider, forcing Vernon to step back. No, you won't. He stepped inside, closing the door behind him. The house smelled of roast chicken and furniture polish, with an underlying scent of fear. Not just Vernon's sweaty panic, but something else, a small, continuous fear that permeated the place. Vernon? Who is it? Called a woman's voice from what Logan guessed was the kitchen. Nobody, Petunia. Business associate. Vernon called back, his voice cracking. To Logan, he hissed. Look here, I don't have that kind of money lying around. I need time. Logan wasn't listening. His enhanced hearing had picked up something else, a small, rapid heartbeat. Coming from under the stairs? You have a kid? Logan asked abruptly. Vernon's face went from red to white. My son's upstairs. What's it to you? But Logan was already moving toward the cupboard under the stairs, drawn by that frantic heartbeat and the scent of fear that grew stronger with each step. Vernon lunged to block his path. That's just storage. Stay away from there. Logan shoved him aside easily. There's someone in there. I said stay away. A lock. The cupboard had a damn lock on the outside. Logan's blood ran cold as memories flashed through his mind. Restraints, tanks, needles. The feeling of being trapped, studied, controlled. With one swift movement, he broke the lock and yanked the cupboard door open. The smell hit him first, urine, unwashed body, and that unmistakable scent of a frightened child. In the dim light, he made out a small figure huddled on a thin mattress among cleaning supplies and old shoes. A boy. Couldn't be more than 7 or 8, but looked younger, all skin and bones with a shock of messy black hair. Enormous green eyes stared up at Logan in terror from behind broken glasses held together with tape. The kid wore clothes that swallowed his tiny frame, and dark bruises marked his exposed arms. What the hell is this? Logan growled, his voice dropping to a dangerous register. The boy pressed himself further against the wall of the cupboard. Vernon, regaining some courage, stepped forward. That's none of your business. The boy's being punished. He's troubled. Punished? Logan turned to face Vernon, fury building inside him. By locking him in a cupboard? Starving him? Now see here, what's his name? Logan cut him off. Vernon's mouth opened and closed like a fish. From the kitchen doorway, a thin woman had appeared, her face twisted in alarm. Vernon, what's happening? She demanded. Nothing, Petunia. Go back to the kitchen. Logan crouched down, bringing himself to the boy's eye level. He kept his movements slow, deliberate, like approaching a wounded animal. Hey, kid. I'm Logan. What's your name? The boy's eyes darted between Logan and Vernon, clearly afraid to speak. It's okay, Logan said softly. You can tell me. H. Harry, the boy whispered finally. Harry Potter. Harry, Logan repeated. You live in this cupboard, Harry? A small nod. That's my room, Harry added, so quietly that only Logan's enhanced hearing caught it. Something snapped inside Logan. He stood up slowly, turning to face Vernon and Petunia with rage building in his chest. His hands curled into fists, and he felt the familiar itch beneath his skin where the adamantium claws waited. You keep a kid locked in a cupboard? He growled. Now see here. Vernon blustered. That boy is a burden we never asked for. Left on our doorstep after his worthless parents got themselves killed. We put a roof over his head, a roof. Logan snarled. You call that a roof? He's a child. He's a freak. Petunia spat, then clapped her hand over her mouth as if she'd said too much. Logan stepped toward them, and both Dursleys backed away. Get me something to write with, he ordered. Now. Vernon scrambled to a side table, returning with a pen and notepad. His hands shook as he handed them over. You're going to write exactly what I tell you, Logan said. A statement giving me temporary guardianship of the boy. Sign it, date it, and if anybody comes asking questions, you tell them you sent him to stay with a family friend because you're renovating. Got it? You can't just take him. Petunia protested. Logan leaned in close. Lady, right now I'm giving you a way out that doesn't involve me calling the police about child abuse. Or worse. As Vernon scribbled shakily on the paper, Logan turned back to Harry, who hadn't moved from his spot in the cupboard. Harry, do you have any things you want to take with you? Clothes? Toys? Harry's eyes widened in confusion. Take with me? Yeah, kid. You're coming with me. Harry hesitated, then reached under the mattress and pulled out a small, tattered blanket and a broken toy soldier. The only possessions of a child who'd never been given anything. Something twisted in Logan's chest. This wasn't his business. He was supposed to collect a debt and leave. Getting tangled with a kid was the last thing he needed while trying to stay off the radar. But seeing Harry, small, starved, abused, triggered memories of his own captivity that he couldn't ignore. Logan made a decision. Get your things, kid. We're leaving. Vernon thrust the signed paper at Logan. There. Now take your money and go. Logan pocketed the guardianship statement and leaned in close to Vernon, his voice dropping to a dangerous whisper. Keep the money. Consider it the fee for me not gutting you right here in your fancy hallway for what you've done to this kid. He held Vernon's gaze until the larger man began to sweat profusely, then turned back to Harry. Come on, kid. Let's go. Harry crawled out of the cupboard, clutching his blanket and toy soldier. He swayed slightly on his feet, and Logan noticed he wasn't wearing shoes. Where are his shoes? Logan demanded. He outgrew them. Petunia said stiffly. We haven't had time to buy new ones. Logan scanned Harry from head to toe, taking in the oversized clothes. Those aren't even his clothes, are they? Dudley's hand-me-downs. Harry whispered. My cousin. Without another word, Logan scooped Harry up. The boy was frighteningly light, and Logan could feel his ribs through the baggy shirt. Harry stiffened at first, then gradually relaxed against Logan's chest. If anyone comes looking for him, Logan warned the Dursleys as he headed for the door. Remember what you wrote. He's with a family friend. Voluntarily. Outside in the cool evening air, Logan set Harry down on the sidewalk. The boy looked up at the house, then at Logan, confusion and fear battling across his small face. Are you really taking me away? He asked. Yeah, kid, I am. Logan ran a hand through his wild hair. Those people in there, they hurt you, didn't they? Harry looked down at his bare feet. Uncle Vernon says I'm a burden. I try to be good, but strange things happen around me sometimes. That's why they say I'm a freak. Strange things? Harry bit his lip. Once, Aunt Petunia cut all my hair off because she said it was too messy, but it all grew back overnight. And another time, I was running from Dudley and his friends, and somehow I ended up on the school roof. I didn't know how I got there. Logan raised an eyebrow. Mutant, maybe? He'd seen plenty of kids manifest abilities in strange ways. Whatever the kid was, he didn't deserve to be locked in a cupboard for it. Listen, Harry. I don't know what's happening with you, but you're not a freak. And no kid deserves to be treated like that. So here's the deal, you can come with me, at least for now, or I can call the police and they'll find somewhere else for you to go. Your choice. Harry looked at him with those enormous green eyes. Why would you want me? The question hit Logan like a physical blow. This kid couldn't comprehend that someone would simply want to help him. Because what they were doing to you is wrong, Logan said simply. And sometimes when you see something wrong, you gotta do something about it. Harry considered this, then asked, Where will we go? I've got a room not far from here. We'll start there, figure out the rest later. After a moment's hesitation, Harry nodded. Okay. Logan checked the street, empty, everyone tucked into their identical houses with their identical lives. He picked Harry up again and started walking. I've never been carried before, Harry said softly against Logan's shoulder. Logan didn't know how to respond to that, so he just tightened his hold slightly. The kid weighed practically nothing, all bones and big eyes and that mess of black hair. As they walked away from Privet Drive, Logan couldn't shake the feeling that he just stepped into something a whole lot more complicated than a simple debt collection. Logan's room was a small studio apartment above a convenience store in a rundown neighborhood 20 minutes from the Dursleys by bus. One room with a kitchenette in the corner, a bathroom barely big enough to turn around in, and a mattress on the floor. Not much, but it was clean and anonymous. Harry stood just inside the door, taking in the sparse surroundings with wide eyes. Not much, but it's better than a cupboard, Logan said, closing and locking the door behind them. It's brilliant, Harry breathed, and Logan realized with a pang that to this kid, even this dump probably seemed like a palace. You hungry? Logan asked, heading to the mini-fridge. Harry nodded hesitantly, as if afraid the offer might be withdrawn. When'd you last eat? Yesterday morning. I burnt the bacon, so I didn't get any dinner or breakfast. Logan's jaw clenched, but he kept his voice neutral. Well, I ain't much of a cook, but I can manage sandwiches. He pulled out bread, ham, cheese, and mustard, making 2 thick sandwiches while Harry stood watching, his small hands still clutching his blanket and toy soldier. Sit anywhere you like, Logan said, gesturing around the room. Harry carefully settled on the edge of the mattress, perched like he might need to run at any moment. Logan handed him a sandwich on a paper towel and sat on the floor across from him. Go ahead, eat. Harry took a small, careful bite, then another larger one as hunger took over. Logan watched him devour the sandwich in record time. Slow down, kid. You'll make yourself sick. There's plenty more. Really? Harry looked up hopefully. Really. But let that settle first. While Harry finished eating, Logan assessed the situation. He just kidnapped a kid, no, rescued, and now what? He wasn't exactly father material. His life was about staying mobile, avoiding Weapon X, and keeping his head down. A kid complicated everything. Mr. Logan? Harry's small voice interrupted his thoughts. Just Logan, kid. Logan, am I really going to stay with you? Logan sighed, running a hand through his wild hair. For now, yeah? Gotta figure some things out. Those people, your aunt and uncle, they your only family? Harry nodded. My parents died in a car crash when I was a baby. That's how I got this. He pushed his hair back from his forehead, revealing a lightning-shaped scar. That from the crash? I think so. Uncle Vernon and Aunt Petunia don't like when I ask questions about my parents. Logan frowned. The scar looked too precise, too deliberate to be from a random car accident. They ever take you to a doctor for that? Harry shook his head. They only took Dudley to doctors. They said I cost too much already. Logan made a mental note to find a clinic, get the kid checked out. Who knew what other neglect he'd suffered besides the obvious malnutrition? You need a shower, kid. And we need to get you some clothes that fit. Harry looked down at his oversized hand-me-downs and nodded. Bathrooms there. Towels on the rack. I'll see if I can find something for you to wear tonight, and tomorrow we'll get you proper clothes. As Harry disappeared into the bathroom, Logan dug through his duffel bag. He pulled out the smallest t-shirt he owned, still would be like a tent on the kid, and a pair of drawstring shorts that might at least stay up with the strings pulled tight. The water turned on, and Logan sank onto the edge of the mattress, rubbing his face. What the hell was he doing? He wasn't cut out for this. He was the Wolverine, a weapon, a fighter, a drifter. Not a parent. The kid deserved better than what he could offer. But then he remembered Harry's face when he'd opened that cupboard door. The resignation in those green eyes, like he expected nothing but cruelty from the world. Logan knew that look. He'd seen it in his own eyes after Weapon X, when they'd stripped away his humanity and turned him into something else. The bathroom door opened, and Harry emerged in a cloud of steam, a too large towel wrapped around his tiny frame. Without the baggy clothes, the extent of his malnutrition was even more apparent, ribs visible, arms like twigs, shoulder blades protruding. Got some clothes for you, Logan said, handing them over. They'll be big, but we'll get you your own tomorrow. Harry took them with something like reverence. Thank you. While Harry dressed, Logan made up the mattress with clean sheets. When Harry emerged swimming in Logan's t-shirt, Logan pointed to the bed. You take the mattress. I'll sleep on the floor. Harry's eyes widened. But it's your bed. I've slept on worse than floors, kid. Trust me. Harry climbed onto the mattress, his small body barely making a dent in it. Logan turned off the main light, leaving just a small lamp on in the corner. He grabbed a spare blanket and pillow and settled on the floor nearby. Logan? Harry's voice came softly through the darkness. Yeah, kid? Thank you for taking me away from there. Logan grunted in acknowledgement, not trusting himself with words. Silence fell, and Logan thought Harry had fallen asleep until the boy spoke again, even more quietly. The strange things that happen around me. Do you think that's why my aunt and uncle hate me? Logan stared up at the ceiling. People fear what they don't understand. Doesn't make it right, how they treated you. Do you think I'm a freak? Logan turned his head to look at Harry, who was watching him with those two big eyes in the dim light. No, kid. I don't. And trust me, I know a thing or two about being different. You do? Logan hesitated, then decided the kid deserved some honesty. Yeah. I'm not exactly like other people either. Is that why you helped me? Maybe partly. Logan admitted. Get some sleep, Harry. We'll figure things out tomorrow. Harry nodded and snuggled deeper under the covers, still clutching his tattered blanket. Within minutes, his breathing evened out into the deep rhythm of sleep. Logan stayed awake much longer, listening to Harry's heartbeat and wondering what the hell he'd just gotten himself into. Logan woke instantly at the small whimper from the bed. Harry was thrashing beneath the sheets, his face contorted in fear. No, please, green light. Mum. Logan was beside him in an instant, hesitating before placing a gentle hand on Harry's shoulder. Hey, kid. Wake up. You're having a nightmare. Harry's eyes flew open, unfocused and filled with terror. He scrambled backward until he hit the wall, breathing hard. It's okay, Logan said, keeping his distance. You're safe. It's just me, Logan. Recognition slowly dawned in Harry's eyes. I had a bad dream. Yeah, I figured that out. Want to talk about it? Harry pulled his knees to his chest. I dream about it sometimes. There's a high, cold laugh, and a woman screaming, and then this bright green light. He touched his scar. It hurts when I wake up. Logan frowned. That didn't sound like a dream about a car crash. This happen a lot? Harry nodded. Uncle Vernon gets angry when I wake up screaming. Well, I ain't your uncle, Logan said. You have a nightmare, you can wake me up. No problem. Harry looked at him uncertainly. Really? Really, Logan confirmed, surprised at how much he meant it. Harry relaxed slightly. Can I have some water? Sure, kid. Logan went to the kitchenette and filled a glass from the tap. When he turned back, Harry was sitting on the edge of the mattress, watching him with a mixture of wariness and hope that made Logan's chest tighten. He handed over the water, which Harry drank in small, careful sips. Think you can get back to sleep? Logan asked when he finished. Harry shrugged. I'll try. Logan nodded and started to move back to his makeshift bed on the floor, but Harry's small voice stopped him. Logan? Would you mind sitting here until I fall asleep? Something twisted in Logan's chest, a feeling he didn't have a name for, protective and tender and fierce all at once. Sure, kid. He sat on the edge of the mattress, and after a moment's hesitation, Harry lay back down, curling on his side. Logan? Harry murmured as his eyes began to drift closed. Yeah? I'm glad you found me. Logan watched as Harry's breathing evened out again, his small face relaxing in sleep. The kid looked even younger like this, all that wariness temporarily erased. Me too, kid, Logan whispered. Me too. The next morning, Logan woke before Harry and slipped out to the convenience store downstairs. He returned with milk, cereal, fruit, and a newspaper, setting everything on the small counter in the kitchenette. Harry was still asleep, curled into a tight ball under the covers. Logan let him sleep while he scanned the newspaper, checking for any mentions of a missing boy in Surrey. Nothing yet, but it was early days. A small noise made him look up. Harry was watching him from the bed, hair sticking up in all directions, those green eyes uncertain. "Morning, kid. Hungry?" Harry nodded, sliding out of bed. He stood awkwardly, Logan's t-shirt hanging to his knees. "Bathroom's all yours if you need it." "Then breakfast." While Harry was in the bathroom, Logan poured cereal into 2 bowls and added milk. Not exactly a nutritious feast, but it would do for now. Harry emerged and approached the counter cautiously, as if expecting to be told the food wasn't for him. "Sit," Logan said, pushing a bowl toward him. "Eat." Harry climbed onto the stool and began eating slowly, methodically, like someone who'd learned to make food last. "We need to get you some clothes today," Logan said. "And shoes." "I don't have any money," Harry said quietly. "I do," Logan replied. It wasn't exactly true. He had enough cash to get by, but not much more. Still, the kid needed basics. "Finish up and we'll head out." At a discount store several blocks away, Logan steered Harry through the children's section, grabbing jeans, t-shirts, underwear, socks, and a light jacket. Harry touched everything reverently, as if he couldn't believe these new things were for him. "Try these on," Logan said, handing him a pair of sneakers. Harry sat on a bench and carefully pulled them on, tying the laces with practiced precision despite his age. "How do they feel?" Harry stood and took a few experimental steps, a look of wonder crossing his face. "They fit perfectly." "Good. Let's pay for everything and get out of here." As they left the store, Harry, now dressed in new jeans, a green t-shirt that matched his eyes, and his new sneakers, Logan felt a prickle on the back of his neck, that unmistakable sensation of being watched. He scanned the street casually, noting a figure in a strange outfit, long robes, across the road. The person seemed to be staring directly at Harry. "Let's move, kid," Logan said, taking Harry's hand and picking up the pace. "Is something wrong?" Harry asked, sensing the change in Logan's demeanor. "Just being careful," Logan replied, guiding them around a corner and down a side street. A quick glance back confirmed his suspicion. The robed figure was following them. Logan led Harry through a series of turns, ducking into a busy department store and out through a service exit. The kid kept up without complaint, though Logan could tell he was confused. "Why are we walking so fast?" Harry asked when they paused in an alley to catch their breath. "Someone was following us," Logan explained, keeping his voice calm. "Probably nothing, but I don't take chances." Harry's eyes widened. "Was it my aunt and uncle?" "No. Someone else." Logan peered around the corner. No sign of the robed figure. "Come on, let's get back to the apartment." "Stay close." They took a circuitous route back, Logan's senses on high alert the entire time. By the time they reached the apartment, Harry was tired but uncomplaining, and Logan was increasingly certain something wasn't right. Inside, Logan locked the door and drew the blinds. "You okay, kid?" he asked, noticing Harry's pale face. Harry nodded. "Just tired. Rest a bit. We'll figure out our next move." While Harry lay on the bed with a comic book Logan had grabbed at the convenience store, Logan considered their options. If someone was looking for the kid, and not just anyone, but someone who dressed in robes and had that strange energy around them, staying in one place wasn't smart. His original plan had been to turn Harry over to proper authorities once he was sure the kid wouldn't end up back with the Dursleys. But now Logan wasn't so sure that was the right move. Something about the way that robed figure had watched Harry set off all of Logan's instincts. "Logan?" Harry's voice pulled him from his thoughts. "Yeah, kid? Are we in trouble?" Logan looked at the small boy on the bed, those green eyes too old for his young face. "Not exactly," Logan said carefully. "But I think we might need to move on. This place isn't safe for long." To his surprise, Harry just nodded, like the idea of packing up and running was perfectly normal. "Where will we go?" Logan considered. Crowded cities meant anonymity but also more eyes. Remote areas meant fewer people but stood out more if anyone came looking. "North," he decided. "Into Scotland." I know some places there where we can lay low for a while. Harry nodded again, accepting this with the resignation of a child who never had control over his own life. When? Tonight. After dark. Logan spent the afternoon gathering supplies, food, first aid kit, map, the few clothes they had. He withdrew most of his cash from his emergency stash behind a loose brick in the bathroom wall. Not enough to last long, but enough to get them moving. Harry watched him pack with solemn eyes, occasionally helping by folding a shirt or organizing food items. The kid was remarkably self-sufficient for his age, another sign of his neglected upbringing. As evening fell, Logan sensed it again, that strange energy, closer now. Someone was nearby. Watching. Waiting. Change your plans, kid, Logan said, zipping up their single duffel bag. We're leaving now. Harry didn't question it, just put down the comic and slipped his feet into his new sneakers. Stay close to me, no matter what happens, Logan instructed. If I tell you to run, you run. Got it? Harry nodded, his face serious. They slipped out the back entrance of the building and into the gathering dusk. Logan led them through back alleys and side streets, avoiding main roads. Harry kept pace remarkably well for a kid his size, only slowing when they'd been walking for over an hour. Need a break? Logan asked, noting Harry's fatigue. I'm okay, Harry insisted, but his pale face said otherwise. Logan crouched down. Climb on my back, kid. We'll move faster. After a moment's hesitation, Harry scrambled onto Logan's back, his small arms wrapping around Logan's neck. The kid weighed practically nothing. Hold tight, Logan said, and continued at a brisk pace toward the train station. They reached the station just as the last train north was boarding. Logan bought 2 tickets with cash and hustled Harry onto the train seconds before it pulled away. The carriage was nearly empty, just an elderly couple at the far end and a businessman absorbed in his newspaper. Logan guided Harry to seats away from the windows, keeping the duffel bag close. As the train gathered speed, leaving London behind, Harry leaned against Logan's side, exhaustion finally catching up with him. Are we safe now? He asked quietly. Safer, Logan replied honestly. Get some rest, kid. Long journey ahead. Harry's eyes drooped, and within minutes he was asleep, his head resting against Logan's arm. Logan watched the darkened landscape speed by, his mind racing with questions. Who was following them? What did they want with Harry? And what were those strange things Harry mentioned happening around him? Most importantly, what the hell was Logan going to do with a kid long term? He wasn't father material. Wasn't even decent human being material most days. But looking down at Harry's sleeping face, Logan knew he couldn't just dump the kid somewhere and move on. Something about those green eyes, that quiet resilience, had gotten under his skin. As the train rumbled north, Harry shifted in his sleep, curling closer to Logan's side. Dad, he mumbled, so softly that only Logan's enhanced hearing caught it. Logan froze. The kid was dreaming. Dreaming of a father he'd never known. Not calling Logan Dad, just dreaming of one. Still, something in Logan's chest tightened painfully, and he found himself placing a protective arm around Harry's small shoulders. I gotcha, kid, he murmured. I gotcha. The train sped through the night, carrying them toward the Scottish highlands and whatever waited for them there. Logan didn't know what he'd gotten himself into, but looking down at the sleeping boy beside him, he knew there was no turning back now. Chapter 2, Blood and Magic. 6 months in the Scottish Highlands had changed Harry Potter. The half-starved, frightened boy from the cupboard had filled out, gained some color, and now moved with the quiet confidence of someone who knew they were safe. The cabin Logan had found, or rather borrowed, from its absentee owner, sat nestled between dense pines on the edge of a crystal-clear lake, miles from the nearest town. Dawn broke over the mountains as Harry crept along the forest floor, placing each foot carefully to avoid making noise. Logan had taught him how to move silently through the woods, and Harry took pride in mastering each new skill. 3 rabbits hung from his makeshift game belt, his first successful solo hunting trip. The cabin came into view, smoke curling from the stone chimney. Harry smiled. Despite Logan's gruff exterior, he never failed to keep the fire going when Harry was out in the early morning chill. "Caught your breakfast, old man!" Harry called as he pushed through the door, holding up his rabbits triumphantly. Logan looked up from where he sat sharpening a hunting knife at the rough-hewn table. His wild hair and perpetual 5 o'clock shadow had become familiar, comforting sights to Harry. "Not bad, kid," Logan grunted, but Harry caught the pride in his eyes. "You're getting better with that slingshot." "Told you I would." Harry grinned, setting about preparing the rabbits the way Logan had shown him. "I can skin them myself this time." Logan nodded and returned to his knife sharpening, giving Harry space to work but keeping a watchful eye. That was Logan's way, teaching through doing, expecting competence but always ready to step in if needed. The cabin was sparse but comfortable, a main room with a stone fireplace, wooden table, and 2 chairs, a small kitchen area with a propane stove, and 2 cots against opposite walls. Hunting and fishing gear hung neatly from hooks, and a stack of books sat beside Harry's cot, mostly adventure stories and practical guides Logan had picked up on their infrequent trips into town. "After breakfast, we're doing defense training," Logan said as Harry worked. "You're getting sloppy with your footwork." Harry groaned dramatically but couldn't hide his smile. Logan's defense training had started as basic exercises to build his strength after years of malnutrition. Now, at nearly 9 years old, Harry could run 5 miles without stopping, knew how to break various holds, and had begun learning simple fighting techniques. "Can we do knife throwing too?" Harry asked hopefully. "One thing at a time, kid." Harry expertly skinned the rabbits and handed the pelts to Logan, who would later show him how to cure them. Nothing went to waste in their life together, another of Logan's rules. As they ate breakfast, Harry recounted his hunting adventure, describing how he tracked the rabbits through the underbrush. Logan listened attentively, occasionally offering advice or asking questions. These moments, sharing meals, talking freely, still felt like a miracle to Harry after years of being silenced and ignored at the Dursleys. "Logan?" Harry asked during a lull in conversation. "Are we staying here? Like forever?" Logan paused, fork halfway to his mouth. "You getting bored?" "No. I love it here," Harry said quickly. "Just wondering if this is home now." The word home hung between them, weighted with meaning. Logan set down his fork and met Harry's eyes. "For now it's home," he said carefully. "But things change, kid. Always gotta be ready to move if we need to." Harry nodded. Logan had never hidden the fact that he was running from something, or that taking in Harry had complicated his situation. In their 6 months together, they'd developed an honesty between them that Harry treasured. "Because of the people who made you different?" Harry asked. Logan's jaw tightened almost imperceptibly. He told Harry only the basics, that bad people had experimented on him, given him abilities that made him heal fast and made him stronger than normal people. He hadn't shown Harry his claws yet, deciding the kid had seen enough violence for his young life. "Partly," Logan admitted. "And partly because of whoever was following us in London. Haven't seen signs of either in months, but that doesn't mean they've stopped looking." Harry pushed his plate away, suddenly serious. "If they find us, what do we do? We've got plans, kid. Remember?" Harry nodded. They had 3 escape routes mapped out, emergency packs always ready, a meeting point if they got separated. Logan had drilled these plans into him until they became second nature. "But first," Logan continued, "we fight. Which is why you need to fix that sloppy footwork." Harry grinned, the momentary heaviness lifting. "I'll work on it." After breakfast, they moved the table aside, creating space in the main room. Logan stood opposite Harry, hands raised in a defensive position. "Remember you're small, but that can be an advantage. Use your speed, stay low, and find the weak points." Harry finished. "Eyes, throat, knees, groin? Good. Now show me." Harry circled Logan cautiously, looking for an opening. He darted forward, aiming a strike at Logan's midsection, but Logan easily sidestepped. Telegraphing your moves again, Logan warned. Your eyes give you away. Harry adjusted, feinting left before diving right to slip past Logan's guard. He managed to tap Logan's side before dancing away. Better. Logan nodded. Again. They trained for an hour, Logan gradually increasing the difficulty, teaching Harry to use his environment, to recognize when retreat was smarter than confrontation. By the end, Harry was sweaty and winded but grinning with accomplishment. Not bad, Logan conceded. You're learning. Coming from Logan, it was high praise. Harry beamed. Now get cleaned up. Reading time. Another of Logan's surprises, he insisted on education. Mathematics, science, history, all covered through books they'd gathered and Logan's own considerable knowledge. Harry had never been allowed to excel at school with the Dursleys, but here, miles from civilization, he discovered a love of learning that had been systematically suppressed. The day passed in their familiar routine, training, studying, chores around the cabin, and a late afternoon fishing expedition that yielded 2 fat trout for dinner. As dusk settled over the mountains, they sat outside on roughly hewn logs, watching the stars emerge over the lake. Logan? Harry asked, breaking the comfortable silence. Do you think those strange things will keep happening to me? Logan glanced at him. The strange things had continued and even increased since Harry came to live with him, objects moving when Harry was upset, lights flickering, and once, a fire starting in the fireplace when Harry had been particularly cold, despite no matches being used. Maybe, Logan said honestly. You're different, kid. Nothing wrong with that. But what am I? Harry pressed. You're a mutant, right? Is that what I am too? Logan considered this. The term, mutant, wasn't one he used lightly, especially with everything happening to mutants around the world. But Harry deserved honesty. Don't think so, he said finally. Mutants usually show signs around puberty. And what you do, it's different. Feels different. How? Hard to explain. Just does. Like there's energy around you sometimes, especially when strange things happen. Harry frowned at his hands. Do you think my parents were like me? Is that why Aunt Petunia called my mom a freak too? Logan's jaw tightened. The more he'd learned about Harry's treatment at the Dursleys, the more he regretted not doing worse to Vernon that night. Could be. Wish I had answers for you, kid. Harry nodded, accepting this as he accepted most uncertainties in their life together. After a moment, he asked, Can I see them again? Your claws? Logan had finally shown Harry his adamantium claws a month ago, after Harry accidentally witnessed them during an encounter with a particularly aggressive bear. The kid had been fascinated rather than frightened, asking endless questions about how they worked, if they hurt, yes, every time, and if Harry would get them too someday, definitely not, if Logan had anything to say about it. With a soft snick, Logan released the claws on his right hand, the moonlight gleaming off the adamantium. Harry watched, mesmerized as always. Did you always have them? He asked. Had bone claws naturally, Logan explained. The adamantium came later, when they experimented on me. Harry's eyes widened. They put metal inside you. Did it hurt? Logan retracted the claws, flexing his hand as the skin healed instantly. Yeah, kid. It hurt. Harry was silent for a moment, processing this. Then, with the directness only a child could manage, he said, I'm glad you escaped them. Me too, kid, Logan said, ruffling Harry's perpetually messy hair. Me too. The next morning, Logan woke before sunrise with every sense on high alert. Something was off. He lay perfectly still on his cot, listening, smelling the air. The cabin was quiet except for Harry's soft breathing from across the room. Then he caught it, a scent on the wind coming through the cracked window. Someone was out there in the woods. Someone who smelled unusual. Not quite human. Moving silently, Logan rose and pulled on his jeans and boots. He glanced at Harry, still sleeping peacefully, his wild black hair sticking out from under the blankets. Whatever was out there, Logan intended to confront it far from the cabin, far from Harry. He slipped out the door without a sound and melted into the trees, following the strange scent. It led him deeper into the forest, away from the cabin, which immediately put Logan on edge. Either this stranger didn't know the cabin was there, or they were deliberately moving away from it. The scent grew stronger. Male, adult, with an underlying animal musk that reminded Logan of wolves. Not a normal human scent at all. Logan slowed his approach, moving from tree to tree with practiced stealth. In a small clearing ahead, a man stood with his back to Logan. Tall, thin, wearing shabby clothes that had seen better days. Light brown hair streaked with premature gray. "I know you're there," the man said quietly without turning around. "I'm not here to cause trouble." Logan remained silent, assessing. The man's posture wasn't threatening, but that meant nothing. The stillness with which he stood, the way he'd sensed Logan's presence despite his silent approach, this was no ordinary man. "My name is Remus Lupin," the man continued, slowly turning to face Logan's direction. "I'm looking for Harry Potter." Logan unsheathed his claws with a metallic snick, stepping into view. "Wrong answer, bub." To the man's credit, he barely reacted to Logan's claws beyond a slight widening of his eyes. His face was prematurely lined, with scars crossing his features, and his eyes, amber, almost yellow in the early morning light, held a deep sadness. "You're protecting him," Remus said. "Not a question." "Good. He needs that." "How'd you find us?" Logan demanded, not lowering his claws. "It's complicated," Remus replied. "I've been searching for months. There are ways of tracking magical children, especially one as significant as Harry." "Magical?" Logan repeated, the word catching him off guard. Remus studied him carefully. "You didn't know? About Harry being a wizard?" Logan's eyes narrowed. "Start making sense real fast, bub, or we're gonna have problems." "Harry is a wizard," Remus said calmly. "As were his parents, Lily and James Potter. As am I. Harry was born with magic, which explains the strange things that likely happen around him when he's emotional or in danger." Logan didn't lower his guard, but his mind raced. Magic? It sounded crazy, but then again, Logan had seen enough in his long life to know the world held more mysteries than most people realized. And it would explain the energy he sometimes felt around Harry, the inexplicable events. "Prove it," he growled. Remus nodded, reaching slowly into his shabby jacket. Logan tensed, but the man withdrew only a slender wooden stick, a wand, Logan presumed. With a murmured word and a flick of the wand, blue flames appeared in Remus's palm, dancing harmlessly on his skin. "This is just a simple charm," Remus explained. "Magic can do much more, both wonderful and terrible things." Logan watched the flames, detecting no technological trickery. This was real, whatever this was. "What do you want with Harry?" Logan asked, still not relaxing his stance. Remus extinguished the flames with a wave of his hand. "To ensure he's safe. To explain who he is, where he comes from." "Harry is famous in our world." "Famous?" Logan interrupted. "The kid was living in a cupboard under the stairs when I found him." Rage flashed across Remus's scarred face. "A cupboard?" he repeated, his voice dangerously low. "Dumbledore assured everyone he was being well cared for." "Well, he lied," Logan said bluntly. "Kid was starved, beaten, treated like dirt." Remus closed his eyes briefly, composing himself. When he opened them, they seemed to glow amber with suppressed anger. "I should have insisted on checking on him myself, regardless of the restrictions. I was a friend of James and Lily, Harry's parents. One of their closest friends." That caught Logan's attention. "His parents didn't die in a car crash, did they?" "No," Remus confirmed grimly. "They were murdered by a dark wizard called Voldemort. The same wizard who gave Harry that lightning scar. The same wizard who Harry somehow defeated as a baby, making him famous in our world as the boy who lived." Logan finally retracted his claws, though he remained wary. "You're saying someone murdered his parents with magic, tried to kill Harry, and somehow a baby defeated this wizard?" Yes. No one understands exactly how Harry survived. Voldemort had killed dozens of powerful witches and wizards, but when he tried to kill Harry, the curse rebounded, destroying Voldemort's body and leaving Harry with just that scar. Logan absorbed this information, thinking of Harry's recurring nightmare, the green light, the woman screaming. Not a car crash at all, but the murder of his parents. So this Voldemort guy is dead? Remus hesitated. His body was destroyed, but many of us fear he's not truly gone. And his followers, Death Eaters they call themselves, some still remain, some still in positions of power. And now you've tracked Harry down because he belongs in the wizarding world, Remus said. He'll need to learn to control his magic properly. In 2 years, he'll be eligible to attend Hogwarts, a school for magical children where his parents also studied. Logan crossed his arms. And what makes you think I'm gonna hand him over to your wizarding world that left him with abusive relatives for 7 years? I'm not asking you to hand him over, Remus clarified. I'm offering to help you help him. Harry needs to understand who he is, where he comes from. And he needs to learn to control his magic before it becomes dangerous, to himself and others. You expecting me to believe that story about Harry defeating some all-powerful dark wizard as a baby? Whether you believe it or not, the wizarding world does. And that makes Harry important to a lot of people, some who wish to protect him, others who might want to harm him. Logan considered the man before him. His instincts, honed over decades, detected no immediate threat from Remus. The sadness and anger in the man's eyes when speaking of Harry's treatment seemed genuine. Why were you friends with his parents? The question seemed to surprise Remus. We attended Hogwarts together. James was like a brother to me. He and Lily accepted me despite my condition. Which is? Logan pressed, catching the hesitation. Remus met his eyes directly. I'm a werewolf. Bitten as a child. It's why I can sense you're not entirely human either. It's why you caught my scent before you saw me. Logan nodded slowly. That explained the wolf-like undertones to the man's scent, the amber eyes. And the wizarding world, they treat your kind well, do they? A bitter smile crossed Remus's face. No. We face discrimination, prejudice, barriers to employment. James and Lily were rare exceptions in how they treated me. Honesty. Logan appreciated that. Harry's safe with me, Logan said firmly. Has been for 6 months. I believe you, Remus replied. You've clearly done more for him than his aunt and uncle ever did. But there are things about his heritage, his magic, that he needs to know. And there are people looking for him, not all with good intentions. Logan thought of the robed figure who'd followed them in London months ago. People like you? Some like me, concerned about his welfare. Others from the Ministry of Magic, who have their own agenda for the boy who lived. And potentially worse. Logan made a decision. Wait here. Where are you going? To get Harry. His choice if he wants to meet you or not. Surprise flickered across Remus's face, followed by respect. Of course. Logan turned and headed back toward the cabin, thoughts churning. Magic. Wizards. A prophecy. It sounded like exactly the kind of complication he'd tried to avoid his entire life. But if this man was telling the truth, and Logan suspected he was, it explained a lot about the strange occurrences around Harry. The sun was just cresting the mountains when Logan reached the cabin. Inside, he found Harry already awake, stoking the morning fire. You went out early, Harry observed, looking up from the flames. Yeah, Logan said, studying the boy who'd become so important to him in such a short time. Listen, kid, there's someone here to see you. Harry tensed immediately, eyes darting to their packed emergency bags. Is it them? The people who hurt you? No, Logan assured him quickly. It's someone who says he knew your parents. Harry's eyes widened. My parents? Really? Says his name is Remus Lupin. Claims to have been friends with your mom and dad at some school. Is he telling the truth? Harry asked, completely trusting Logan's judgment. Think so? But there's more to it, he says. Logan paused, realizing how crazy it would sound. He says you're a wizard, kid. That those strange things that happen around you are magic. Says your parents were magical too. Harry stared at him, mouth slightly open. A wizard? Like in books? Something like that. Says there's a whole magical world out there that normal folks don't know about. Do you believe him? Logan ran a hand through his wild hair. Saw him create fire in his palm out of nothing. Either he's telling the truth, or he's got some technology I've never seen before. And I've seen a lot. Harry sat down heavily on his cot. A wizard, he repeated softly. Then he looked up at Logan, eyes suddenly bright with realization. That's why Aunt Petunia called my mom a freak. Because she could do magic. The pieces were falling into place for Harry, Logan could see. All those years of unexplained treatment, of being punished for things he couldn't control. You want to meet him? Logan asked. Your call, kid. We can pack up and be gone in 10 minutes if you say the word. Harry thought for a moment, then nodded determinedly. I want to meet him. I want to know about my parents. Okay. But I'm with you the whole time. Anything feels off, we're gone. Got it? Got it. Harry agreed, getting to his feet. Should I bring anything? Logan shook his head. Just stay behind me until I say otherwise. They walked together through the woods, Harry practically vibrating with nervous energy beside him. Logan kept his senses alert, scanning constantly for any sign of threat or ambush. But there was only Remus, still standing in the small clearing, looking more anxious than dangerous. When they reached the edge of the clearing, Logan put a hand on Harry's shoulder, keeping him slightly behind. That's far enough for now. Remus turned, and his face transformed when he saw Harry, joy, pain, and wonder all mingling in his expression. Harry, he breathed. You look so much like James. But you have my mother's eyes, Harry finished, stepping slightly forward. Everyone says that. Everyone? Remus looked confused. I remember, Harry said quietly. People used to say it when I was little. Before. He trailed off, then asked abruptly. You really knew my parents? Remus nodded, his eyes suspiciously bright. James was one of my best friends from the time we were 11 years old. And Lily, brilliant, kind Lily, she was like the sister I never had. Logan says you're a wizard. And that I am too. Is that true? Yes, Harry. You were born with magic, just like your parents. Show me, Harry demanded. Show me magic. Remus glanced at Logan, who gave a slight nod. Carefully, Remus withdrew his wand again. This is a simple charm your mother was particularly good at, he said, then waved his wand in a gentle pattern. Avis. A small flock of bluebirds erupted from the wand tip, chirping and flying in circles around Harry before disappearing in tiny puffs of smoke. Harry's face lit up with wonder. Can I do that? He asked eagerly. With training and the right wand, yes. Remus smiled. You've already been doing magic unintentionally. Accidental magic, we call it. All magical children do before they learn to control it. Harry turned to Logan, eyes shining. Did you see that? Birds. Out of nowhere. Despite himself, Logan felt a smile tugging at his lips. He hadn't seen Harry this excited since, well, maybe ever. I saw it, kid. Harry turned back to Remus, questions pouring out of him. What else can magic do? Did my dad do magic too? Will I get a wand? Is there really a school for wizards? Remus laughed, a warm sound that seemed to surprise even him. Yes to all of that, Harry. Magic can do incredible things, from simple charms like that to complex enchantments. Your father was especially talented at transfiguration, changing one thing into another. And yes, Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry is where magical children go to learn, usually starting at age 11. That's just 2 years away. Harry calculated quickly. Logan watched the interaction carefully. The joy on Harry's face was undeniable, but so was the potential danger of this new world Remus described. A world where Harry was famous, where people had expectations of him, where dark wizards might still want him dead. This dark wizard, Logan interrupted. The one who killed Harry's parents. Tell us more about that. The mood sobered instantly. Remus sighed, looking to Harry with gentle eyes. Perhaps we should sit down for this conversation. They settled on fallen logs around the clearing. Harry positioned himself between Logan and Remus, unconsciously seeking both the familiar protection of his guardian and proximity to this link to his parents. The wizarding world was at war, Remus began. A powerful dark wizard who called himself Lord Voldemort gathered followers who believed in pureblood supremacy. The idea that wizards from all magical families were better than those with non-magical ancestors. Like racism, Harry said with the straightforwardness of a child who'd been taught to call things what they were. Exactly, Remus nodded, looking impressed. Your mother was Muggle-born, born to non-magical parents, and your father came from an old wizarding family, but they both fought against Voldemort and his Death Eaters. Why did he come after them specifically? Logan asked, sensing there was more to the story. Remus hesitated, glancing at Harry. There was a prophecy about a child who would have the power to defeat the Dark Lord. Voldemort believed that child was Harry. A prophecy? Logan repeated skeptically. You're saying Harry's parents were killed because of some fortune-telling nonsense? Divination is a real magical art, Remus said defensively. Rare in its true form, but real. And Voldemort believed in this particular prophecy enough to act on it. Harry was unusually quiet, processing this information. Finally, he asked, What happened that night? I sometimes dream about green light and someone laughing. Pain flashed across Remus's face. Voldemort found your family in hiding. He killed your father first, then your mother. But when he tried to kill you with the same curse, the killing curse, which produces a flash of green light, something extraordinary happened. The curse rebounded on him instead, destroying his body and leaving you with only that scar. Why? Harry touched his lightning scar. Why didn't it kill me too? No one knows for certain, Remus admitted. Dumbledore, the headmaster of Hogwarts, believes it was your mother's sacrifice that protected you. She refused to step aside when Voldemort offered to spare her. Her love created a powerful magical protection. Logan watched Harry absorb this, seeing the emotions play across his face: wonder, grief, confusion. Who's been looking for Harry? Logan asked. You mentioned a ministry. The Ministry of Magic is our government, Remus explained. They've had people searching since Harry disappeared from his relative's home. Dumbledore, too, has people looking. And what do they want with him? The Ministry wants their symbol, the boy who lived under their influence. Dumbledore. Remus paused. Dumbledore is more complicated. He truly cares for Harry's well-being, I believe, but he also sees the bigger picture, a war that may not be truly over, a prophecy unfulfilled. And what do you want? Logan pressed. Remus looked at Harry directly. I want what James and Lily would have wanted, for Harry to be safe, happy, and prepared for the challenges ahead. I failed you once, Harry, by not checking on you at the Dursleys. I won't fail you again. Harry looked from Remus to Logan and back again. Can I learn magic but stay with Logan? The question hung in the air between them. Remus glanced at Logan, whose face remained impassive. It's complicated, Remus admitted. Technically, the Ministry has certain rights regarding magical children, especially orphans. But, he added, seeing Logan's expression darken, I believe arrangements could be made. Particularly if the alternative is Harry disappearing completely. Damn right that's the alternative. Logan growled. Kid stays with me. I understand, Remus said. And I'm not here to take him away. I'm offering to help, to teach Harry about his heritage, to help him learn to control his magic before it becomes problematic. Problematic how? Harry asked. Untrained magic can become dangerous as you grow older and more powerful, Remus explained. Especially in times of strong emotion. And you, Harry, are likely to be particularly powerful, given who your parents were. Logan considered this. If Harry's magic was growing stronger, and the incidents over the past months suggested it was, then having someone who understood it seemed prudent. But trust didn't come easily to Logan, not after everything he'd experienced. "How do we know we can trust you?" he asked bluntly. Remus didn't take offense. "A fair question. I can offer a wizard's oath, a magical binding promise that I mean no harm to Harry and will not betray his location to anyone without your permission." "You can do that? Make promises magic enforces?" Harry asked, fascinated. "Yes. Magic recognizes intent and binding promises. Break a true wizard's oath, and the consequences are severe." Logan nodded slowly. "Make your oath, then." Remus stood, drawing his wand. "I, Remus John Lupin, swear on my magic that I mean no harm to Harry James Potter, that I will not betray his location without permission from his guardian, and that I will act in his best interests as I believe his parents would have wanted. So mote it be." His wand flared with golden light that wrapped around his arm before fading away. "It is done," Remus said simply. "To break this oath would cost me my magic, essentially, my identity." Harry looked impressed. Logan remained cautious but nodded in acknowledgement. "You can tell Harry about his parents, about magic. But no one else knows where we are. And Harry doesn't go anywhere without me." "Agreed," Remus said. "Though eventually decisions will need to be made about his magical education. We'll cross that bridge when we come to it," Logan replied. "For now, you're welcome to visit and teach what you can. But first sign of trouble, you'll disappear," Remus finished. "I understand." Harry beamed, looking from Remus to Logan with newfound excitement. "So I get to learn about being a wizard and keep living with Logan? Brilliant!" Despite his reservations, Logan couldn't help but feel moved by Harry's happiness. The kid deserved to know about his parents, his heritage. And if magic was part of who he was, denying him that knowledge would be wrong. "Why don't we head back to the cabin?" Logan suggested. "Kid needs breakfast before his brain explodes from all this new information." As they walked back through the forest, Harry peppered Remus with questions about Hogwarts, about his parents' time there, about different types of magic. Remus answered patiently, his expression softening more with each minute spent in Harry's company. Logan hung back slightly, watching the interaction with mixed emotions. He'd known from the beginning that taking in Harry would complicate his life. But wizards? Magic? A prophecy? He was way out of his depth. Yet looking at Harry's animated face as he learned about his heritage, Logan couldn't bring himself to regret his decision that night 6 months ago. Whatever came next, they'd face it together. Over the weeks that followed, Remus became a regular visitor to the cabin. 3 times a week, he would arrive in the late morning, bringing books about magical theory, wizarding history, and stories of Harry's parents during their school days. Harry absorbed it all with remarkable enthusiasm, particularly tales of his father's mischievous adventures with his friends, the self-proclaimed marauders. "So my dad could turn into a stag?" Harry asked incredulously one afternoon as they sat by the lake. "Actually become an animal?" "Yes," Remus confirmed. "It's called being an animagus, a wizard who can transform into an animal at will. It's extremely difficult magic, usually not taught until after Hogwarts, but your father and his friends mastered it while still in school." "Why?" Logan asked from where he sat nearby, whittling a piece of wood with a pocket knife. He rarely left Harry alone with Remus, though his wariness had decreased somewhat over time. Remus hesitated, then sighed. "For me. Because of my lycanthropy. They became animagi to keep me company during full moons, when I transformed. Animals are immune to werewolf bites, you see, and a werewolf is less dangerous in the company of other animals." Harry's eyes widened. That's amazing. They became animals to help you." "They were the best friends anyone could ask for," Remus said quietly. "Your father especially, Harry. He had a talent for loyalty that was extraordinary." Logan watched Harry's face light up with pride. These stories were giving Harry something Logan never could, a connection to his parents, a sense of his own history. "Can you teach me to become an animagus?" Harry asked eagerly. Remus laughed. "Perhaps when you're older. Much older. It's dangerous magic to attempt without proper training." "What about defensive magic?" Logan interjected. "If this Voldemort character has followers still out there, shouldn't Harry learn to protect himself?" Remus considered this. Normally, underage wizards aren't permitted to use magic outside of school. The Ministry has ways of detecting it. But out here, so remote from wizarding communities. He paused. "I suppose some basic defensive theory wouldn't hurt." "Theory isn't going to stop an attack," Logan pointed out. "No," Remus agreed. "But without a wand of his own, Harry's practical options are limited. When he turns 11, he'll receive his Hogwarts letter and be able to purchase a wand legitimately. And until then?" Remus hesitated. "I could bring some basic defensive items. And perhaps teach Harry to channel his accidental magic more deliberately." Harry perked up at this. "You mean I could learn to make magic happen on purpose? Without a wand?" "Wandless magic is extremely difficult," Remus cautioned. "Only the most powerful wizards master it, and usually only after years of conventional training. But intent is at the heart of all magic. With practice, you might learn to direct some of your accidental magic more purposefully." And so a new element was added to Harry's education. Each morning began with Logan's physical training, running, self-defense, hunting, and survival skills. Afternoons with Remus now included meditation exercises designed to help Harry sense and direct his magical core. To Logan's surprise, Harry showed remarkable aptitude. Within weeks, he could consistently light a candle with concentration alone, though the effort left him exhausted. By the 2-month mark, he could summon small objects across short distances when properly motivated. "It's extraordinary," Remus confided to Logan one evening after Harry had gone to bed, exhausted from a successful session where he managed to levitate a book for nearly 30 seconds. "Most magical children show accidental magic only in moments of extreme emotion. Harry's level of control without a wand is unusual." "Good unusual or bad unusual?" Logan asked, instantly alert to potential dangers. "Just unusual," Remus assured him. "A sign of significant magical potential, certainly. His parents were both powerful, but this..." He shook his head in wonder. "Harry may become an exceptionally powerful wizard. And that makes him a target," Logan concluded grimly. "I'm afraid so," Remus admitted. "Which is why these defensive skills you're teaching him are so valuable. Most wizards rely entirely on magic for protection. A wizard with physical combat skills would have a significant advantage in many situations." Logan nodded, something like pride warming his chest. "Kid's a quick learner. He trusts you completely," Remus observed. "That's evident in everything he does." The observation caught Logan off guard. Trust wasn't something he was accustomed to inspiring in others. Yet Harry did trust him, with his safety, his future, his life. It was a responsibility Logan had never sought but now found himself fiercely protective of. "He deserves better than what life's given him so far," Logan said finally. "On that," Remus agreed. "We are completely aligned." 3 months after Remus's arrival, disaster struck. The day began normally enough. Harry had mastered a new defensive move that morning, successfully breaking Logan's hold for the first time, earning a rare full smile from his guardian. Remus was expected in the afternoon, bringing a book on magical creatures Harry had been eager to read. Logan was outside chopping firewood when his heightened senses detected something wrong, an unfamiliar scent on the wind, mechanical sounds too faint for normal hearing, the distinctive smell of gun oil and antiseptic. His blood ran cold. He knew those scents. Weapon X. Dropping the axe, Logan sprinted back to the cabin. "Harry! Pack up! Now!" Harry, who had been reading by the fire, leapt to his feet immediately. Months of drills kicked in, and he grabbed his pre-packed emergency bag without question. "What is it?" he asked, voice steady despite the alarm in his eyes. "The people who are looking for me," Logan said grimly, grabbing his own bag and the small lockbox containing their emergency cash and documents. "They've found us." "How far?" "Too close. We need to move." "North route." Harry nodded, slinging his bag over his shoulder and pulling on his boots. They'd rehearsed this. The north route took them through the densest part of the forest toward a network of caves they'd scouted months ago. They were halfway to the door when the first explosion rocked the cabin. The front wall splintered inward, sending them both flying backward. Logan recovered instantly, shielding Harry with his body as dust and debris rained down around them. "Change of plans?" Logan growled, unsheathing his claws. "Stay behind me." Figures in tactical gear poured through the shattered wall, a strike team moving with military precision, weapons raised. Logan counted 8, with more likely outside. "Target acquired," one called into a radio. "Secondary subject present as well." Logan didn't wait for them to attack first. He launched himself forward with a feral roar, claws slashing through the nearest attacker's weapon before tearing across his chest. The man went down screaming as Logan pivoted to the next threat. "Logan!" Harry's warning shout came just in time. Logan ducked as a net of some kind shot over his head, embedding itself in the wall behind him. These weren't normal weapons. They were designed for capturing, not killing. Designed for him. "Run, Harry!" Logan shouted, engaging 3 soldiers at once. "Head for the meeting point!" But even as he fought, Logan saw more soldiers circling around the cabin. Harry's escape route was cut off. Harry, demonstrating the quick thinking Logan had instilled in him, dashed for the cabin's rear window instead. He was halfway through when a soldier grabbed him from outside. "Got the kid!" the man shouted. Something in Logan snapped. With a berserk roar, he tore through the remaining soldiers in his path, leaving a trail of blood and severed limbs. He burst through the rear wall of the cabin just in time to see Harry struggling furiously against a large soldier. And then something extraordinary happened. Harry's face contorted in concentration, and suddenly every window in the cabin exploded outward. The soldier holding Harry was thrown back as if hit by an invisible battering ram, landing 10 feet away with a sickening crack. "Harry!" Logan called, racing to his side. Harry stood trembling, wild-eyed with fear and power. "They were hurting you," he gasped. "I'm okay, kid," Logan assured him, pulling Harry close with one arm while keeping his claws ready with the other. "We need to move." But they were surrounded now. At least 20 soldiers in a tightening circle, weapons trained on them. And behind the soldiers, a figure that made Logan's blood boil, a man in a white lab coat, watching the scene with clinical interest. "The Wolverine," the man called out. "How fascinating to find you playing house in the Scottish wilderness. And with such an interesting child. You take one step closer, Doc, and I'll show you just how fascinating my claws are when they're cutting out your heart," Logan snarled. The scientist smiled thinly. "Always so aggressive. But surely you recognize the futility of this situation? My team is equipped with tranquilizers specifically designed for your unique physiology. The child, while displaying remarkable abilities, is still just a child." Harry pressed closer to Logan's side, but his voice was surprisingly steady when he spoke. "Who are you people?" It speaks," the scientist said, stepping forward. "I am Dr. Nathaniel Essex. And you, young man, are quite the unexpected variable in today's equation. Stay back," Logan warned, positioning himself more firmly in front of Harry. The boy's display of power was most impressive. Essex continued as if Logan hadn't spoken. "Telekinetic in nature, perhaps? Not typical of the mutant gene at such a young age. Something different." His eyes gleamed with unsettling interest. "I simply must run some tests." Logan felt Harry tense behind him. "Not happening. I'm afraid you don't have a choice," Essex replied, signaling to his men. "Take them both. Alive and relatively undamaged, please." The soldiers moved in. Logan fought with everything he had, his claws a blur of adamantium fury, But even he couldn't fight off 20 trained soldiers at once. A barrage of specialized tranquilizer darts hit him from multiple directions, designed to overcome even his healing factor. The last thing Logan saw before the darkness took him was Harry being restrained, fighting with all the skills Logan had taught him, his green eyes wide with terror and determination. Logan woke to the familiar sensation of restraints, adamantium cuffs securing his arms and legs to a metal table angled at 45 degrees. The sterile smell of a laboratory surrounded him, triggering a cascade of traumatic memories. But one thought overrode all others. Harry. Logan's eyes snapped open, scanning the room desperately. It was a large laboratory with advanced equipment he didn't recognize, multiple workstations, and several examination tables. And on one of those tables, unconscious but breathing steadily, was Harry. "Kid!" Logan called, straining against his restraints. "Harry!" Harry didn't stir. He'd been stripped to his underwear, electrodes attached to his chest, head, and limbs. A series of monitors beside him displayed readings Logan couldn't interpret. "Remarkable, isn't he?" Logan's head snapped around. Dr. Essex stood in a doorway, flanked by 2 armed guards. He approached Harry's table with the detached interest of a scientist examining a particularly fascinating specimen. "You touch him and you're dead," Logan growled. Essex glanced at him dismissively. "You're hardly in a position to make threats, Wolverine. Besides, we've been touching him for hours. Collecting samples, running tests. The results are extraordinary." Logan pulled against his restraints with renewed fury. "What did you do to him?" "Nothing permanently damaging. Yet." Essex moved to a computer terminal, bringing up a complex display of what appeared to be genetic information. "He's not a mutant, at least, not in the conventional sense. His genetic structure contains elements I've never seen before. Energy patterns that defy conventional science." "Magic," Logan spat. "It's called magic, you sick bastard. And if his people find out what you're doing..." Essex turned, eyebrow raised. "Magic? How charmingly medieval. Though I suppose such terminology might be appropriate for energies we don't yet understand." He tapped the screen. "Whatever it is, it's powerful. And it interacts with cellular structures in fascinating ways." "Let him go," Logan demanded. "He's just a kid. A child with extraordinary potential," Essex corrected. "Imagine combining these energy manipulation abilities with, say, an accelerated healing factor. Or enhanced strength. Or," he smiled coldly, "an adamantium skeleton." Logan's blood froze. "No. You wouldn't dare." "Wouldn't I?" Essex approached Logan's table. "The original Weapon X program was flawed in its limited vision. They created you to be a weapon, but failed to fully explore your potential. I intend to surpass their work." "He's a child." "He's the future," Essex countered. "The bridge between mutant and whatever he is. Think of it, Wolverine, a being with both your physical resilience and his energy manipulation abilities. Unstoppable. Perfect. You tried to put adamantium in that kid, and I swear I'll spend every remaining moment of my life making sure you die screaming." Logan snarled, his voice dropping to a dangerous register. Essex merely smiled. "Your protective instinct is noted, if irrelevant. The procedure is already being prepared. We'll start with a partial bonding, no need to cover his entire skeleton as they did with you. Just enough to test the interaction between the adamantium and his unique energy signature." Logan struggled violently against his restraints, the metal groaning under the pressure but holding firm. On the other table, Harry began to stir, eyelids fluttering. "Logan?" he called weakly. "I'm here, kid," Logan answered immediately. "Stay calm. Everything's gonna be okay." Harry's eyes opened fully, panic flooding his features as he realized his situation. "What's happening? Where are we?" "You're in my laboratory, young man," Essex answered, moving to Harry's side. "Preparing to participate in a groundbreaking scientific advancement." Harry pulled against his restraints, fear giving way to anger. "Let us go," Logan, what's he talking about? Nothing that's gonna happen, Logan assured him, still straining against his bonds. Kid, remember what we practiced. Focus. Harry's eyes widened in understanding. For weeks, Logan and Remus had been teaching him to channel his accidental magic deliberately. Now, Harry closed his eyes, concentrating intently despite the fear and disorientation. The lights in the laboratory flickered. Essex watched with clinical interest. Fascinating. You can affect electrical systems with your energy. The restraints around Harry's right wrist began to vibrate subtly. Increase sedation. Essex ordered a lab technician who had entered. We can't have him disrupting the procedure. No! Logan shouted. Harry, now! With a cry of effort, Harry released a burst of magical energy. The restraint on his right wrist shattered, and several nearby instruments exploded in showers of sparks. Essex ducked as glass and metal shrapnel flew through the air. Sedate him immediately! Essex commanded, but the technician was already down, hit by flying debris. Harry, hand now free, frantically worked to release his other restraints. Logan felt a surge of pride despite their desperate situation. The kid was keeping his head, remembering his training. Essex lunged for an emergency button on the wall, but Harry's magic flared again, throwing the scientist backward into a bank of equipment. Alarms began to blare throughout the facility. Harry, get yourself out! Logan called. Don't worry about me! But Harry, now free from his table, scrambled toward Logan instead. I'm not leaving you! Before he could reach Logan's restraints, the laboratory doors burst open. Armed guards poured in, weapons raised. Stop right there, kid! The lead guard ordered. Harry froze, caught between the guards and Logan. His small face hardened with determination as he raised his hands. Stay away from us, he warned, his voice steadier than any 8-year-old's had a right to be in such a situation. The guards hesitated, having witnessed the destruction Harry's last outburst had caused. In that moment of indecision, Essex struggled to his feet, blood trickling from a cut on his forehead. Fascinating power, he muttered, reaching for a syringe on a nearby counter. But uncontrolled. We'll remedy that. He lunged toward Harry, syringe extended. Logan roared, adamantium restraints groaning as he pulled with inhuman strength. One of the wrist cuffs finally gave way with a metallic shriek, and Logan's claws shot out, slashing toward Essex but falling just short. Harry ducked away from Essex, but in doing so, moved closer to a different workstation, one containing a glowing blue liquid in a reinforced container. Logan recognized it immediately. Harry, stay away from that tank! He shouted. Too late. Essex, seeing Harry's proximity to the adamantium, smiled coldly. Perfect. If you won't cooperate, perhaps a demonstration is in order. He slammed his hand down on a control panel. The container holding the liquefied adamantium opened, mechanical arms descending with gleaming surgical tools. No! Logan screamed, finally breaking his second restraint and tearing at the ones holding his legs. Harry backed away from the mechanical arms, but found himself trapped between them and the approaching guards. Essex, seeing Logan breaking free, hit another button. A transparent barrier slammed down, separating Logan from Harry. Logan! Harry cried, pounding on the barrier. Run, Harry! Logan yelled, still fighting his remaining restraints. Instead, Harry turned to face the advancing mechanical arms, his small face set in grim determination. In that moment, with his messy black hair and defiant green eyes, he looked so much like the descriptions of his father that Logan felt his heart clench. The mechanical arms shot forward, one grabbing Harry's left arm, another driving a needle deep into his right forearm. Harry screamed in agony as the liquefied adamantium began to pump into his body. Logan finally broke free, throwing himself against the barrier with all his strength. The reinforced material cracked but held. On the other side, Harry writhed in pain, his body convulsing as the adamantium entered his system. But something unexpected was happening. Harry's magic, responding to his distress, flared visibly around him in crackling arcs of emerald energy. Essex watched in fascination. The energy is bonding with the adamantium. It's creating a unique alloy structure. The facility's alarms grew more insistent. Through a window, Logan could see chaos in the outer laboratory, equipment failing, fires breaking out, personnel running in panic. The barrier finally gave way under Logan's assault. He burst through, claws extended, directly toward Essex. The scientist barely had time to register surprise before Logan's adamantium claws plunged into his chest. "I told you what would happen if you hurt him," Logan snarled, twisting the claws. Essex's eyes widened, but to Logan's shock, a smile spread across his face. "This isn't over," he gasped, before his eyes rolled back. Logan withdrew his claws and turned to Harry. The mechanical arms had disengaged, leaving Harry collapsed on the floor, clutching his right arm in agony. The skin around his forearm was split and bleeding, flashes of metal visible beneath. "Kid!" "Harry!" Logan gathered him up carefully, mindful of his injured arm. "Stay with me, kid." Harry's eyes fluttered open, glazed with pain. Logan, it hurts." "I know, kid. I know." Logan had experienced the adamantium bonding process himself, the unimaginable agony of molten metal bonding to bone. That Harry was even conscious was a testament to his strength. "We're getting out of here." The laboratory was in chaos, the magical energy Harry had released during the procedure apparently interfering with the facility's systems. Logan carried Harry through the confusion, cutting down any guards who tried to stop them. Most were too busy dealing with explosions and equipment failures to pose much resistance. They emerged into a forested area that Logan didn't recognize. The facility had been built into the side of a mountain, well camouflaged from aerial observation. Logan paused only long enough to orient himself by the stars before setting off at a quick pace, Harry cradled against his chest. "Hang on, kid," he murmured as Harry drifted in and out of consciousness. "Just hang on." The sound of explosions behind them suggested the facility was suffering a catastrophic failure. Logan didn't look back. All that mattered was getting Harry to safety. They traveled through the night, Logan pushing his enhanced endurance to its limits. By dawn, they had put significant distance between themselves and the facility. Logan finally allowed himself to stop in a small clearing, gently setting Harry down to examine his injuries. The adamantium had bonded to Harry's right forearm, from just below his elbow to his knuckles. But unlike Logan's clean surgical implantation, this had been rushed and partial. The metal hadn't fully integrated with Harry's tissue, instead forming a strange, organic-looking lattice beneath his skin. More concerning, faint green energy, magic, pulsed visibly through the metal structure. "Logan?" Harry whispered, regaining consciousness. What did they do to me?" "They tried to make you like me," Logan said grimly. "But something different happened." Harry looked down at his arm and went pale. "There's metal in me?" "Adamantium. Like my claws and skeleton. But yours, it's different. Your magic did something to it." Harry tried to sit up, wincing in pain. "Can you get it out?" Logan shook his head. "Once it bonds, it's permanent." "I'm sorry, kid." Tears welled in Harry's eyes, but he fought them back. "Does this mean, will I have claws too?" "I don't know," Logan admitted. "This isn't like what they did to me. Your magic changed things." As if responding to their discussion, Harry's arms spasmed suddenly. He cried out in pain as the skin between his knuckles split, 3 short, gleaming claws emerging. But unlike Logan's pure adamantium claws, Harry's glowed with the same green energy that pulsed through the lattice in his arm. "Logan!" Harry gasped, staring in horror at the foot-long claws extending from his small hand. "Stay calm," Logan said, though his own heart raced at the sight. "It's okay. Just try to relax." Harry took several deep breaths, and gradually, the claws retracted. Blood welled from the cuts between his knuckles, but as they watched, the wounds healed with remarkable speed, not as fast as Logan's healing factor, but much faster than a normal human's. "What's happening to me?" Harry whispered. Logan pulled him into a careful hug. "I don't know, kid. But we'll figure it out together. I promise. They rested for several hours, allowing Harry to recover some strength. The magical adamantium in his arm seemed to be stabilizing, the pain gradually subsiding from unbearable to a persistent ache. By midday, Harry was able to walk, though Logan stayed close in case his strength failed. We need to find Remus, Logan decided as they followed a small stream northward. He might understand what's happening with your magic. Harry nodded, cradling his transformed arm against his chest. How will he find us? He won't, Logan replied. We'll find him. He said he's staying in a cottage near Hogsmeade, that wizard village he told you about. We just need to reach civilization, then make our way there. They traveled slowly, Harry's condition limiting their pace. By nightfall, they reached a rural road where Logan managed to flag down a sympathetic truck driver who gave them a ride to the nearest town. Harry's arm was wrapped in the remains of Logan's shirt, hiding the strange metal lattice beneath his skin. 2 days and several borrowed vehicles later, they approached the coordinates Remus had once shared as an emergency contact point. The small cottage stood on the outskirts of a forest, smoke rising gently from its chimney. Logan approached cautiously, senses alert for any trap. But the only scent he detected was Remus's distinctive wolf-tinged signature, along with another unfamiliar scent, female, human, with a strange shifting quality to it. Wait here, Logan told Harry, helping him settle behind a fallen log. I'll make sure it's safe. Be careful, Harry whispered, his face pale with exhaustion and pain. Logan approached the cottage directly, deciding speed was more important than stealth. He pounded on the door with his fist. The door opened to reveal Remus, his wand raised defensively. His eyes widened in shock. Logan? What? Harry's hurt. Logan cut him off. Some organization called Weapon X. They did something to him, tried to bond adamantium to his skeleton like mine, but his magic interfered. He needs help. Remus paled. Where is he? Hiding. Near the tree line. Without hesitation, Remus called over his shoulder. Tonks! Grab my medical kit! Then he rushed past Logan toward the forest. A young woman with spiky pink hair, actual pink hair, appeared in the doorway, a large bag in her hands. What's happening? She asked Logan. No time to explain, Logan growled, turning to follow Remus. They found Remus kneeling beside Harry, his face a mask of horror as he examined the boy's partially exposed arm. Merlin's beard, he breathed. What have they done to you? They wanted to make me like Logan, Harry said weakly. But something went wrong. Or right, depending on your perspective, the pink-haired woman, Tonks, said as she joined them, setting down the medical bag. I've never seen anything like this. The magic is actually bonded to the metal. You can see his magic? Logan asked sharply. Tonks nodded. I'm an Auror, sort of a magical law enforcement officer. We're trained to detect magical signatures. She knelt beside Harry. I'm Tonks, by the way. Just Tonks. She's also a trainee healer, Remus added. And we can trust her. Logan hesitated only briefly before nodding. Harry needed help, and his options were limited. With gentle care, Tonks fully unwrapped Harry's arm, exposing the extent of the transformation. In the daylight, the metal lattice beneath his skin gleamed silver with threads of green magic pulsing through it like veins. It's not just on the surface, Harry told them. I can feel it all through my arm. And... He hesitated, glancing at Logan. Show them, kid, Logan encouraged. With visible concentration, Harry extended his new claws. Both Remus and Tonks gasped as 3-foot-long, glowing green-silver blades emerged from between his knuckles. Sweet Circe, Tonks whispered. They're like magical conductors. Remus ran a hand through his graying hair. Harry, does it hurt when you do that? A little, Harry admitted. Less than at first. They cut through my skin, but it heals really fast now. Like my healing factor, Logan added. But slower. And the magic seems to be helping the integration somehow. Tonks opened the medical bag, withdrawing her wand and several potion bottles. "I can help with the pain and inflammation, at least. The rest." She shook her head. "This is beyond anything I've ever seen or studied." As Tonks began applying magical healing to Harry's arm, Remus pulled Logan aside. "What exactly happened?" he asked in a low voice. Logan gave him the condensed version: the Weapon X ambush, Essex's fascination with Harry's magical abilities, the partial adamantium bonding that Harry's magic had somehow altered. "They didn't get to finish the procedure," Logan concluded. "Harry's magic disrupted their equipment, and we escaped during the chaos." "Thank Merlin for that," Remus muttered. "If they'd succeeded in bonding his entire skeleton, Kid might not have survived," Logan finished grimly. Remus's expression darkened. "The Ministry can't know about this. If they discovered Harry has been altered this way, I ain't letting any Ministry get their hands on him," Logan interrupted. "Magical or otherwise." "Nor am I," Remus agreed. "But we have another problem. That surge of magic during the procedure? It registered on magical monitoring systems across Scotland. The Ministry's improper use of magic office will be investigating." "Meaning?" "Meaning they know an extraordinary magical event occurred, and they'll be looking for its source. If they find Harry, they won't," Logan stated flatly. "It's not that simple," Remus sighed. "Magical children are monitored, especially ones with Harry's prominence. We need allies within the wizarding world." "Like who?" Remus considered for a moment. "Minerva McGonagall, Deputy Headmistress of Hogwarts and my former head of house. She was fond of Lily and James, and she's no blind follower of Dumbledore. She might help us, help Harry, without immediately reporting to the Ministry or Dumbledore." Logan weighed their options. Harry's condition was stabilizing but still unknown territory. If magical expertise could help him understand and control his new abilities, the risk might be worth it. "Your call," Remus said. "But I believe we need her help." Logan looked over at Harry, who was now sitting up, color returning to his face as Tonks's magical treatments took effect. The kid caught his eye and gave a small, brave smile that tightened something in Logan's chest. "Contact her," Logan decided. "But just her. And she comes here, we don't go to that school." Remus nodded. "I'll send a message. If anyone can help us navigate this situation, it's Minerva." As they rejoined Harry and Tonks, Logan couldn't shake the feeling that their lives had just become exponentially more complicated. The Weapon X program now knew about Harry and his magical abilities. The wizarding authorities would soon detect the magical disturbance. And Harry himself was now irreversibly changed, a unique blend of magic and adamantium that made him potentially more valuable and more vulnerable than ever. Looking down at Harry, who was now cautiously practicing extending and retracting his new claws under Tonks's fascinated guidance, Logan made a silent vow. Whatever came next, whatever threats emerged from either world, he would protect this kid with his life. Harry had already endured more than any child should have to bear. He wouldn't face whatever came next alone. "Logan?" Harry called, looking up at him with those green eyes that somehow managed to remain bright despite everything. "Look what I figured out." With careful concentration, Harry extended just one claw, then another, then the third in sequence, rather than all at once. "More control already," Tonks noted, impressed. "He's adapting incredibly fast." Pride swelled in Logan's chest, momentarily displacing his worry. Whatever else had been done to him, Harry remained fundamentally himself, resilient, determined, and braver than any kid had a right to be. "Nice work, kid," Logan said, ruffling Harry's hair gently. "You'll be showing me up in no time." Harry beamed at the praise, and in that smile, Logan found renewed purpose. They might be facing unknown dangers from two worlds now, but they would face them together, the Wolverine and his impossible, magical cub. Chapter 3 Weapon X Wizard Minerva McGonagall had seen many extraordinary things in her decades as a witch. She'd witnessed the rise and fall of dark wizards, taught generations of magical youth, and even spent years transforming into a tabby cat at will. but nothing in her considerable experience had prepared her for the sight before her. Harry Potter, the lost boy who lived whom the entire wizarding world had been searching for, sat cross-legged on the floor of Remus Lupin's modest cottage. His right arm gleamed with an otherworldly metal lattice that pulsed with visible magical energy. And, as she watched with wide eyes, 3-foot-long claws of the same material extended from between the knuckles of his small hand. "As you can see, Minerva," Remus said quietly beside her, "our situation is complex." "Complex?" McGonagall repeated faintly. "Remus, that's the understatement of the century." Harry retracted his claws and looked up at her uncertainly. The blood between his knuckles healed within seconds. "Can you fix me?" he asked, his voice small but steady. McGonagall's heart broke at the question. "Oh, child," she said, her Scottish brogue thickening with emotion. "I don't think anyone can fix this. But perhaps we can help you understand and control it." From his position against the wall, arms crossed and eyes watchful, Logan grunted. "That's what we need. Control. Kid can't go around with those things popping out whenever he gets scared or angry." McGonagall turned to the strange, feral man who had somehow become Harry Potter's guardian. When Remus had contacted her with his cryptic message about finding Harry and needing her discretion, she'd expected many things, but not this gruff, dangerous-looking muggle with metal claws of his own. "And you're certain this procedure cannot be reversed?" she asked. "Adamantium bonding is permanent," Logan stated flatly. "Trust me, I've looked." McGonagall nodded, gathering her thoughts. "Very well. Before we proceed, I need to be absolutely clear about something." She fixed Logan with her sternest gaze, the one that had cowed generations of misbehaving students. "What are your intentions regarding Harry?" Logan met her gaze unflinchingly. "To keep him safe. To give him the tools to protect himself. To make sure no one, not your ministry, not Weapon X, not anyone, uses him as a weapon." "And what of his magical education? His heritage? His destiny in our world?" "That's up to Harry," Logan said simply. "Kid deserves choices I never had." McGonagall turned to Harry, who had been watching the exchange intently. "And what do you want, Mr. Potter?" Harry looked from Logan to McGonagall, then to Remus and Tonks, who had been quietly observing. "I want to stay with Logan," he said firmly. "But I also want to learn about magic. About my parents. I want to understand what I am now." He glanced down at his metal-infused arm. "And I want to make sure the people who did this can't do it to anyone else." The determination in the boy's eyes, Lily's eyes, McGonagall noted with a pang, was extraordinary for one so young. But then, Harry Potter had never been an ordinary child, even before this transformation. "Very well," McGonagall said, coming to a decision. "I will help you, Mr. Potter. But there are complications we must address." "Like what?" Harry asked. "For one, the magical surge from your procedure was detected by the Ministry's monitoring systems. They're currently investigating its source. It's only a matter of time before they trace it to this general vicinity." "What happens if they find us?" Logan asked, straightening from his position against the wall. "That depends on who finds you," McGonagall answered honestly. "If it's Albus or someone loyal to him, they'll want to return Harry to his relatives or another Ministry-approved guardian." Logan's expression darkened dangerously. "Not happening." "I concur," McGonagall said, surprising them all. "I trusted Albus when he said Harry was safe and well cared for. Clearly, I was wrong." Her lips thinned to a severe line. "No child deserves to be treated as the Dursleys treated Harry, prophesied savior or not." "And if it's the Ministry that finds us?" Tonks piped up from her position near the window. "Then we have a different problem." McGonagall sighed. The current administration, particularly Dolores Umbridge in the Department for Regulation and Control of Magical Creatures, would view Harry's modifications as grounds for intensive monitoring, especially with the current climate regarding beings of mixed status. "They treat me like a monster?" Harry asked quietly. McGonagall's expression softened. Some might try. Which is why we must ensure they don't find you unprepared. What do you suggest? Remus asked. A multi-layered approach, McGonagall replied, switching smoothly into her teaching mode. First, magical concealment. I can establish wards around this cottage that will mask Harry's magical signature. Second, practical education. Harry needs to learn to control both his magic and these new abilities. Third, alliance building. We need more allies within the wizarding world who will put Harry's welfare above politics or prophecies. Logan nodded slowly. Sounds reasonable. But we keep a low profile. No one else knows where we are unless absolutely necessary. Agreed, McGonagall said. Now, shall we begin? The weeks that followed established a new routine. Each morning began with Logan's physical training, now modified to incorporate Harry's enhanced abilities. Logan taught him how to extend and retract his claws with minimal pain, how to fight with them as extensions of himself rather than separate weapons. Remember, Logan instructed as they sparred carefully in the clearing behind the cottage. These aren't accessories. They're part of you now. Move like they've always been there. Harry nodded, concentrating as he extended just his middle claw, a movement he'd been practicing. They feel different from yours, though. There's this energy flowing through them. Your magic, Logan confirmed. Work with it, not against it. In the afternoons, McGonagall or Remus would take over, teaching Harry basic magical theory and controlled wandless exercises. Without a proper wand, Harry's magical education was necessarily limited, but his natural ability combined with the magical adamantium produced surprising results. Extraordinary, McGonagall murmured one afternoon, watching Harry levitate a feather wandlessly while his claws emitted a faint green glow. The adamantium seems to be acting as a magical conductor. Like a built-in wand, in a sense. Is that good or bad? Harry asked, carefully lowering the feather. Neither. Simply different, McGonagall replied. And in your case, Mr. Potter, different may prove advantageous. Traditional magical defenses aren't designed to counter what you can do. Tonks, who visited whenever her aura duties allowed, took a particular interest in helping Harry control the interplay between his emotions and his new abilities. It's a bit like being a metamorphomagus. That's what I am. She explained, casually changing her nose from human to pig snout and back again, making Harry laugh. Your emotions trigger physical changes. The trick is learning to separate the feeling from the reaction. How? Harry asked. Visualization. When you feel angry or scared and sense your claws wanting to emerge, picture a door between the feeling and the action. You decide when to open that door. These lessons proved invaluable the night Harry had his first major nightmare since the procedure. Logan woke to the sound of Harry's frightened gasps, finding the boy sitting upright in bed, claws fully extended and glowing brightly in the darkness. Bad dream? Logan asked softly, approaching carefully. Harry nodded, staring at his extended claws in distress. I can't make them go back in. I'm trying, but breathe, kid, Logan instructed calmly. Remember what Tonks taught you. Find that door between feeling and action. Harry closed his eyes, his breathing gradually steadying. The green glow of his claws dimmed slightly. That's it, Logan encouraged. You're in control, not them. Slowly, the claws retracted, though the metal lattice beneath Harry's skin continued to pulse with faint energy. When Harry opened his eyes, they were damp with unshed tears. It was about that place, he whispered. The lab. But different. They were putting the metal in all of me, not just my arm. And I couldn't scream. Logan sat on the edge of Harry's bed. Just a dream, kid. They didn't finish what they started. And they never will. Harry nodded, but his eyes remained troubled. Logan? Am I still human? The question hit Logan like a physical blow. How many times had he asked himself the same thing after Weapon X? How many nights had he lain awake, wondering what remained of the man beneath the animal they'd created? Yeah, kid, you're human, Logan said firmly. Having metal in your bones doesn't change who you are in here. He tapped Harry's chest gently. Being different doesn't make you less human. just makes you, you. Harry seemed to consider this, then asked, Are you human? Logan hesitated. Most days, he answered honestly. Some days it's harder to remember. But that's the trick of it, remembering who you are when the animal wants to take over. Is that what you meant when you taught me your code? Protect yourself, protect innocence, don't become the monster, Logan finished. Yeah. That's exactly what I meant. Harry was quiet for a moment, then said softly, I'm glad it was you who found me. In the cupboard. Logan ruffled Harry's perpetually messy hair, an uncharacteristic lump forming in his throat. Me too, kid. Now try to get some sleep. Big day tomorrow. McGonagall was bringing a specially commissioned magical focus, not a standard wand, which would be registered with the Ministry, but a custom tool designed to help Harry channel his magic more precisely than through his claws alone. It wasn't strictly legal, but as McGonagall had primly informed them, sometimes the rules must be bent for the greater good. The true greater good, not Albus's interpretation of it. As Harry settled back under the covers, Logan returned to his own bed across the room, but sleep eluded him. The kid's question echoed in his mind, Am I still human? Logan had no illusions about what Weapon X had done to him. They'd taken a man and transformed him into something else, something both more and less than human. And now, because of his choice to rescue Harry, the same organization had changed the kid too. The guilt of that knowledge weighed heavily on him. But when he looked at Harry, still kind, still brave, still fundamentally himself despite everything, Logan found a strange hope. Maybe the metal didn't define them. Maybe being human wasn't about what was in your skeleton, but what was in your heart. With that thought, Logan finally drifted back to sleep, his enhanced hearing attuned as always to Harry's steady breathing across the room. Absolutely not, Logan growled, crossing his arms over his chest. The kid's not going anywhere near that place. Across the cottage's small kitchen table, Albus Dumbledore regarded Logan with calm blue eyes that didn't quite mask his frustration. The supreme mugwump and chief warlock of the Wizengamot had arrived unannounced that morning, bypassing the wards with an ease that had McGonagall both impressed and irritated. Mr. Logan, Dumbledore said in his gentle voice, Harry must return to his family for at least part of each year. The blood wards protecting him from Voldemort's followers didn't protect him from being starved and beaten. Logan cut in harshly. And they're not his family. I am. Harry sat beside Logan, his modified arm concealed beneath a long-sleeved shirt and special gloves McGonagall had enchanted. So far, they'd managed to keep his transformation secret from Dumbledore, though the wizard's twinkling eyes seemed to note every detail of the room and its occupants. Blood magic is powerful, ancient magic. Dumbledore continued. Whatever mistreatment occurred, and I assure you, had I known the extent, I would have intervened. The protection provided by living with his mother's blood remains Harry's strongest shield against dark forces. With all due respect, Albus, McGonagall interjected from her position by the window. We've seen the evidence of that mistreatment, as you call it. The boy was kept in a cupboard, denied adequate food and clothing, punished for accidental magic. Regrettable, Dumbledore acknowledged, having the grace to look troubled. But the greater danger is letting someone else decide his life for him. Logan interrupted again. Kids had enough of that. Dumbledore turned his attention to Harry directly. Harry, my boy. I understand you've formed an attachment to Mr. Logan, and I'm grateful he rescued you from an unpleasant situation. But there are factors at play beyond what you can understand at your young age. Harry, who had been quietly observing the exchange, straightened in his chair. Like the prophecy? About me and Voldemort? Surprise flickered across Dumbledore's face before he masked it. Ah. I see Remus has been quite forthcoming with information. Harry deserves to know what he's facing, Remus said from his position near the fireplace. James and Lily would have wanted him prepared, not sheltered from the truth. Perhaps, Dumbledore conceded. But preparation takes many forms. The blood protection at his aunt's home. I'm not going back there. Harry interrupted, his voice quiet but firm. Ever. Harry. Dumbledore began. No. Harry cut him off, surprising everyone with his directness. They hated me. They hurt me. And they lied about my parents. Your aunt's feelings are complicated, Dumbledore said delicately. But the protection isn't worth it, Harry insisted. I'd rather face Voldemort than go back to that cupboard. The room fell silent at Harry's declaration. Logan felt a surge of pride at the kid's backbone, though he kept his expression neutral. Dumbledore sighed deeply. I see you've made up your mind, Harry. But please understand, my concern has always been for your safety. So is mine, Logan stated. Difference is, I'm also concerned about his happiness. His freedom to choose. His right to be a kid, not just a weapon against your dark wizard. Something shifted in Dumbledore's expression at the word weapon. His gaze sharpened as he looked at Logan more carefully. An interesting choice of words, Mr. Logan. I assure you, I've never viewed Harry as a weapon. No? Just someone you need to point at Voldemort eventually? Logan, McGonagall cautioned. Dumbledore folded his hands on the table. Harry's destiny and Voldemort's are intertwined, whether we wish it or not. The prophecy can't force him to do anything. Logan cut in. Destiny's just another word for taking away someone's choice. And yet, prophecies have power in the magical world. Dumbledore countered. They shape events, whether we believe in them or not. Then we reshape them, Logan said flatly. Kid deserves better than being sacrificed for your greater good. Harry, who had been following the exchange with intense focus, suddenly gasped, clutching his right arm. Green energy pulsed visibly beneath his sleeve. Harry? Logan was instantly alert. It's burning, Harry whispered, pulling back his sleeve to reveal the metal lattice glowing brightly. Dumbledore's eyes widened. What in Merlin's name? Before anyone could stop him, Harry's magical adamantium claws extended reflexively, glowing with intense emerald light. The same color, Logan couldn't help noticing, as the killing curse Remus had described, the one that had given Harry his lightning scar. Fascinating, Dumbledore breathed, all pretense of ordinary conversation abandoned. When did this happen? Logan moved protectively closer to Harry. None of your business, bub. But Dumbledore's attention was fixed on Harry's transformed arm, his expression a mixture of concern and scientific curiosity that reminded Logan uncomfortably of Essex. This is not natural magic, Dumbledore observed. Nor is it any enchantment I recognize. Harry, who did this to you? Harry retracted his claws with visible effort, the glow gradually subsiding. Bad people, he answered simply. Logan saved me from them too. Dumbledore looked from Harry to Logan with new understanding. I see. And these bad people, they were not wizards? Scientists, Logan said tersely. Weapon manufacturers. Human experimenters. Muggles did this? Dumbledore seemed genuinely shocked. Combined metal with magic? They tried to make me like Logan, Harry explained. But my magic changed things. Indeed it did, Dumbledore murmured, stroking his long beard thoughtfully. This adds a complexity I had not anticipated. He turned to Logan with a more serious expression. You were right to keep him away from those people, Mr. Logan. And perhaps you were right about other matters as well. Logan narrowed his eyes, suspicious of the sudden concession. Meaning? Meaning that Harry's situation has changed fundamentally. The blood protection, while still valuable, may be less critical now that he has other defenses. Dumbledore gestured toward Harry's arm. And clearly, there are threats beyond Voldemort that I had not adequately considered. So you're backing off? Logan clarified. I am reassessing, Dumbledore replied carefully. Harry's preparation for his eventual confrontation with Voldemort remains essential, but the form of that preparation may need adjustment. Harry frowned. You still think I have to fight him? Even though I'm just a kid? Not now, Harry, Dumbledore assured him. But someday. The prophecy speaks of a power the Dark Lord knows not. Perhaps. He glanced meaningfully at Harry's arm. This development relates to that power. Logan's jaw tightened. You're still thinking of him as a weapon. I'm thinking of him as our best hope for peace, Dumbledore countered. There's a difference. Not to the kid who has to do the fighting, Logan growled. Harry looked between them, then spoke with surprising clarity. I want to learn. To control this. He held up his arm. And my magic! But I decide how I use it. Not you. He nodded to Dumbledore. And not anyone else who wants to use me as a weapon. Dumbledore studied Harry for a long moment, then inclined his head slightly. You are indeed your parents' child, Harry. Lily and James would be proud of your spirit. He rose from the table with the grace of a much younger man. I will not press the issue of your return to the Dursleys for now. But I must insist on continued magical education. Hogwarts when you turn 11, at minimum. We can discuss that when the time comes. McGonagall interjected smoothly. For now, Remus and I are providing basic instruction. Very well, Dumbledore conceded. But be warned, the Ministry continues to search for Harry. And if they discover his modification, their reaction may be far less accommodating than mine. With that ominous warning, Dumbledore bid them farewell, declining Remus's offer to use the fleur and instead disappearing with a near-silent apparition from just beyond the cottage wards. After he'd gone, Logan turned to McGonagall. Can he be trusted? She sighed. Albus has many virtues, but he plays a very long game. He truly believes in the prophecy and Harry's role in it. That said, I think your directness caught him off guard. He's not accustomed to being challenged so bluntly. Good, Logan grunted. Could use more of that. Harry, meanwhile, was examining his arm where the burning sensation had faded. Why did it start hurting when you were talking about Voldemort? I don't know, McGonagall admitted. But it merits investigation. The connection between your scar and Voldemort has always been mysterious. Now, with this magical adamantium bonded to you, it could be responding to the same energies, Remus theorized. The killing curse that gave Harry his scar and the magic that bonded with the adamantium, both intensely powerful, potentially connected. Or it could be warning us, Tonks suggested, speaking up for the first time since Dumbledore's arrival. Like an early detection system for dark magic. Logan frowned. Whatever it is, we need to understand it better. Kid needs to control this, not be controlled by it. Agreed, McGonagall said briskly. Which brings us to today's lesson. I brought something that might help. She withdrew a slender wooden case from her robes, placing it carefully on the table. This isn't a conventional wand, Mr. Potter. It's what we call a focus staff, scaled down for your age, of course. Harry leaned forward curiously as McGonagall opened the case, revealing what looked like a short, polished wooden rod with a core of some gleaming material visible through a spiral groove in the wood. Phoenix feather core, like your father's wand, McGonagall explained. But embedded in rowan wood rather than enclosed by it. And unregistered with the Ministry's trace system, which means you can practice without alerting the authorities. Is that legal? Harry asked, reaching out to touch the focus staff gently. McGonagall's lips twitched. Let's call it a gray area. Under normal circumstances, no. But these are hardly normal circumstances. Harry carefully lifted the staff from its case. Immediately, green sparks shot from both ends, and the magical lattice in his arm glowed in response. Whoa, he breathed. It resonates with your magical core, McGonagall observed. And apparently with your enhancement as well. Fascinating. What can I do with it? Harry asked, eyes shining with excitement. That's what we're going to find out, McGonagall replied. Starting today. 2 months after Dumbledore's visit, Harry stood in the forest clearing behind the cottage, focus staff in his left hand, right arm extended with claws glowing faintly. Before him, a series of targets hung from tree branches at varying heights and distances. Remember, Remus instructed from nearby. Intent shapes the magic. Visualization guides it. The staff and your claws are just conduits. Harry nodded, concentration evident on his face. He'd grown in the months since the adamantium bonding, not just physically, though his body had become leaner and stronger under Logan's training, but in confidence and control. "Ready when you are, kid," Logan called from his position at the edge of the clearing. Taking a deep breath, Harry raised his staff and claws simultaneously. "Defendo," he called, slashing both toward the nearest target. A blade of magical energy shot from his staff while his claws emitted 3 parallel beams of green light. Both hit the target simultaneously, shredding it completely instead of making the clean cut Harry had intended. "Still too much power," Harry muttered, frustrated. "Don't be too hard on yourself," Remus encouraged. "Most wizards struggle with reducing power, not increasing it." "Try again," Logan suggested. "Remember what we practiced. It's like pulling a punch. You don't need full force for every hit." Harry nodded, turning to the next target. This time, he moved more deliberately, visualizing a precise cut rather than destruction. "Defendo," he said, more softly this time. The spell sliced cleanly through the target, leaving 2 neat halves swinging from the tree. "Better," Remus praised. "Now without the incantation," McGonagall instructed, watching from beside Logan. Harry turned to the third target, concentrating on the same spell but without speaking. A moment's focus, a precise movement of staff and claws, and the target split cleanly in half. "Excellent, Mr. Potter." McGonagall nodded approvingly. Harry beamed at the praise, though Logan noticed a slight tremor in his right arm. The kid was still building endurance for extended magical use through his adamantium claws. The energy drain was significant. "One more," Harry insisted, turning to the furthest target, nearly 50 yards away. "Don't push it," Logan cautioned, seeing Harry's fatigue. "I can do it," Harry insisted. He took a steadying breath, focused intently on the distant target, and channeled his magic through both conduits simultaneously. This time, something different happened. Instead of producing separate beams of energy, the magic from his staff seemed to flow into and through his claws, amplifying and transforming. 3 brilliant arcs of energy shot toward the target, not just cutting it but disintegrating it completely, along with the branch it hung from and a portion of the tree trunk behind it. The backlash sent Harry stumbling backward, his claws retracting involuntarily as he dropped to one knee. "Harry!" Logan was at his side instantly, steadying him. "I'm okay," Harry gasped, though his face was pale with exertion. "Did you see that? It was like they worked together." McGonagall and Remus exchanged significant looks. "The staff's phoenix core seems to be resonating with the magical properties of your adamantium," McGonagall observed. "Amplifying and focusing the energy in a way I've never seen before." "Is that dangerous?" Logan asked sharply. "Not inherently," Remus answered. "But it does suggest Harry's magical potential is exceptional. Even by the standards of powerful wizards. Feels different from regular magic," Harry explained, catching his breath. "Like it's coming from somewhere deeper." McGonagall nodded thoughtfully. "Your magical core has been altered by the adamantium bonding. You're channeling energy in ways that traditional magical theory doesn't account for. Which means traditional magical defenses might not work against it," Remus added. Logan didn't miss the implication. "Making him an even bigger target if the wrong people find out." "Precisely," McGonagall confirmed grimly. "Which is why discretion remains paramount. The Ministry, particularly certain elements within it, would view Harry's abilities as either a threat to be controlled or a weapon to be exploited." Harry looked down at his arm, where the metal lattice had settled back to its usual faint glow. "I don't want to be anyone's weapon." "And you won't be," Logan assured him. "Not while I'm around." The moment of solidarity was interrupted by a sharp crack from the direction of the cottage. Logan tensed immediately, stepping in front of Harry. "Stay here," he ordered, claws extending. "That was apparition," Remus said, drawing his wand. "Someone's breached the outer wards." "Tonks?" McGonagall suggested. "She'd have used the flu," Remus countered. "And she's not due until tomorrow." Logan was already moving toward the cottage, his enhanced senses on high alert. "Keep Harry out of sight," he called over his shoulder. As he approached, he caught an unfamiliar scent, no, multiple scents. At least 4 people, with the distinctive smell of starch and leather that he'd come to associate with ministry officials, based on McGonagall's descriptions. Through the trees, he could make out figures in formal robes surrounding the cottage. One, a squat woman in a revolting shade of pink, appeared to be directing the others and casting spells around the perimeter. Logan circled back to the clearing where McGonagall, Remus, and Harry waited tensely. "Ministry," Logan reported tersely. 4, maybe 5 of them. One looks like she's in charge, short, pink clothes. Remus and McGonagall exchanged alarmed glances. "Dolores Umbridge," McGonagall said, her normally composed expression darkening. "Senior Undersecretary to the Minister and head of the Department for Regulation and Control of Magical Creatures." "The one you warned us about?" Logan clarified. "Who'd see Harry as something to be controlled?" "The very same," McGonagall confirmed. "If she's leading this search personally, the Ministry knows or suspects something about Harry's condition." "How?" Remus wondered. "Dumbledore wouldn't have told them." Not even Albus would hand Harry over to Umbridge's tender mercies. "Perhaps they've been monitoring magical activity more closely than we realized," McGonagall theorized. "Harry's practice sessions, despite our precautions, have produced significant magical signatures." Logan made a quick decision. "We need to split up. Kid and I will head for the emergency rendezvous point. You two delay them, feed them whatever story works." "No," Harry interrupted firmly. "I'm tired of running and hiding. These are my people too. I want to face them." Logan studied Harry's determined expression. The kid had grown up fast in the past year, too fast in many ways. But there was a steadiness to him now, a confidence born of knowing exactly what he could do and who he was. "Your call," Logan said finally. "But we do it smart. And if things go south, we go with Plan B." Harry nodded. "Plan B." McGonagall adjusted her robes with brisk efficiency. "Remus and I will approach them directly. Present ourselves as Harry's magical guardians and instructors. Logan, you and Harry should remain out of sight initially until we assess the situation." "And if they're hostile?" Logan pressed. "Then we give you the signal, and you execute your Plan B," McGonagall said grimly. "Though I hope it won't come to that. Dolores may be many unpleasant things, but even she must respect certain magical laws regarding children." Logan's expression suggested he'd put little faith in laws of any kind, but he nodded agreement. "Be ready to move, kid," he said to Harry, who straightened and adjusted the special gloves that concealed his transformed arm. McGonagall and Remus strode purposefully toward the cottage while Logan and Harry circled through the trees to a position where they could observe without being immediately visible. "Remember what I taught you about threat assessment," Logan murmured. "Watch their hands, their eyes. Look for who's really in charge, not just who's talking the loudest." Harry nodded, his expression focused in a way that made him seem older than his years. They found a vantage point behind a large oak tree with clear sidelines to the confrontation unfolding by the cottage. McGonagall and Remus had reached the clearing, approaching the ministry officials with confident strides. The squat woman in pink turned to face them, her toad-like features arranged in a simpering smile that didn't reach her cold eyes. "Minerva, what an unexpected pleasure," Umbridge's girlishly high voice carried clearly to Logan's enhanced hearing. "And Mr. Lupin as well. How interesting to find you both here, so far from Hogwarts." "Dolores," McGonagall acknowledged stiffly. "To what do we owe this unannounced intrusion?" "The Ministry has detected unusual magical activity in this area," Umbridge replied sweetly. "Given the recent disappearance of a certain important magical child, we thought it prudent to investigate personally." "And what magical child might that be?" Remus asked with false innocence. Umbridge's smile tightened. "Don't play games, Mr. Lupin. We know Harry Potter is here. Or was, very recently. His magical signature is quite distinctive. Harry Potter is indeed receiving instruction here." McGonagall confirmed, surprising Umbridge. As is proper for the heir of an ancient magical house. Under whose authority? Umbridge demanded, her saccharine tones slipping. Mine, as his appointed magical guardian. McGonagall stated firmly. And with the full knowledge of Albus Dumbledore. This wasn't strictly true, Logan knew, but McGonagall delivered the lie with impressive conviction. The Ministry has no record of such an appointment. Umbridge countered. An oversight I'm certain can be corrected. McGonagall replied smoothly. Unless you're suggesting the deputy headmistress of Hogwarts is an unsuitable guardian for a magical child. Umbridge's face flushed an ugly shade of pink that clashed horribly with her outfit. The Ministry has concerns about Potter's welfare and education, particularly in light of certain anomalies in his recent magical signature. What anomalies would those be, Dolores? McGonagall asked, her tone dangerously polite. Our sensors detected magic unlike anything on record. One of the other officials volunteered. Mixed with something non-magical. We thought at first it might be accidental magic interacting with Muggle technology, but the pattern was too consistent. Logan felt Harry tense beside him. The kid's right arm had begun to glow faintly beneath his glove. Easy, Logan whispered. Let them handle it for now. I assure you, Harry's magical development is progressing normally, if somewhat precociously. Remus interjected smoothly. Given his parentage, that's hardly surprising. The Ministry requires a direct assessment, Umbridge stated flatly, dropping all pretense of pleasantry. Produce the boy immediately. And if we refuse? McGonagall asked, her Scottish brogue becoming more pronounced as her temper rose. Umbridge smiled unpleasantly. Then we must assume you're concealing him for nefarious purposes. Perhaps even interfering with a magical child in ways that might be harmful. She gestured to her companions. Search the premises. You have no authority. McGonagall began. I have every authority. Umbridge cut her off. By special decree of the minister himself. She withdrew an official-looking parchment from her hideous pink handbag, authorizing the examination and, if necessary, removal of Harry Potter to Ministry custody for his own protection. Logan had heard enough. He glanced at Harry, who nodded slightly. Plan B? Harry whispered. Not yet, Logan murmured. But be ready. To his surprise, Harry stepped forward before he could stop him, emerging from their hiding place into full view of the Ministry officials. If you want to talk to me, Harry called clearly, you could just ask. All heads turned toward him. Umbridge's eyes widened, then narrowed calculatingly as she took in the small but confident boy standing at the edge of the clearing. Harry Potter, she said, her voice sickly sweet again. How wonderful to finally meet you. I'm Dolores Umbridge, Senior Undersecretary to the Minister for Magic. I know who you are. Harry replied evenly. Professor McGonagall told me about you. Umbridge's smile faltered slightly. Did she indeed? Well, Mr. Potter, the Ministry has been very concerned about your welfare. After your unfortunate disappearance from your relative's home, we've been searching for you most diligently. I wasn't kidnapped, if that's what you're implying, Harry said. I was rescued. Rescued? Umbridge repeated, her voice dripping with false concern. From your own family? How very dramatic. They kept me in a cupboard, Harry stated flatly. Starved me. Hit me when I did accidental magic. Not much of a family. Umbridge blinked, momentarily thrown by Harry's directness. One of the other officials shifted uncomfortably. Well, I'm sure there's been some misunderstanding. Umbridge recovered quickly. Regardless, the Ministry has a responsibility to ensure your proper care and magical education. Particularly in light of your special status. You mean being the boy who lived? Harry asked. Precisely. Umbridge nodded. You have certain obligations to the wizarding world. And we have detected some concerning magical anomalies centered around you. We'll need you to come with us for a thorough examination. Logan stepped forward then, positioning himself slightly behind Harry's right shoulder. Not happening, lady? Umbridge's eyes widened at the sight of the imposing, clearly non-magical man emerging from the trees. "And who might you be?" she demanded, her girlish voice hardening. "Logan," he answered simply. "Harry's guardian." "A muggle?" Umbridge scoffed. "How inappropriate. Magical children belong with magical guardians who understand their needs. He understands better than you think," Harry defended. "And I'm staying with him." Umbridge's face hardened. "This is not a request, Mr. Potter. The Ministry has legal authority over all magical minors, particularly those without proper magical guardianship. I've stated that I am Harry's magical guardian." McGonagall interjected firmly. "An arrangement we do not recognize," Umbridge snapped. "Particularly given the unusual magical signatures we've detected." She fixed Harry with a penetrating stare. "Remove your gloves, Mr. Potter." Harry stiffened. "Why?" "Do not question me, child. Remove them at once." Logan moved fractionally closer to Harry, his muscles tensing in preparation. "Kid doesn't have to do anything he doesn't want to." Umbridge's face contorted with fury. "Restrain the muggle," she ordered her companions, "and secure the boy." Two of the officials raised their wands, but before they could cast, McGonagall and Remus had their own wands out. "You will not lay a hand on either of them," McGonagall stated, her voice ice cold. For a tense moment, the two groups faced off, wands raised on both sides. Then Umbridge smiled, a calculating expression that sent warning signals through Logan's brain. "Interesting," she purred. "A Hogwarts professor and a known werewolf threatening Ministry officials to protect a boy with abnormal magical signatures. One might almost think you're hiding something significant." Harry looked up at Logan, a question in his eyes. Logan gave an almost imperceptible nod. "You want to see what's special about my magic?" Harry asked, drawing all eyes back to him. "Fine." Before anyone could stop him, Harry pulled off his right glove, revealing the gleaming metal lattice beneath his skin. Gasps echoed from the Ministry officials. "Merlin's beard," one whispered. "What is that?" another demanded. Umbridge's eyes bulged, then narrowed with an intensity that was almost predatory. "What have you done to yourself, boy?" "I didn't do this," Harry replied calmly. "Bad people did. Scientists who wanted to make me into a weapon." "Muggle scientists?" Umbridge clarified, her voice suddenly eager. "They altered you with some kind of metal?" Harry nodded. "It's called adamantium. Indestructible metal. They bonded it to my bones, but my magic changed it somehow." To demonstrate, Harry carefully extended one claw, just halfway. The gleaming magical adamantium caught the afternoon sunlight, reflecting it with an otherworldly shimmer. "Fascinating," Umbridge breathed, all pretense of concern abandoned. "A magically enhanced weapon created by Muggles. The department will want to study this extensively." "The department?" Remus questioned sharply. "For regulation and control of magical creatures, of course," Umbridge clarified. "The boy is clearly no longer fully human. A hybrid creature at best, a potential danger at worst." Logan's claws shot out with an audible snick. "Watch your mouth, lady." The Ministry officials recoiled in shock at Logan's display, finally making the connection between his abilities and Harry's transformation. "Two of them," Umbridge gasped, then collected herself. "Oris, secure them both. Classification: Dangerous Beasts, Class XXXX. Full containment protocols." "I don't think so," Logan growled, stepping fully in front of Harry. The standoff might have escalated into violence then if not for a sudden crack of apparition at the edge of the clearing. All heads turned to see Tonks, in full aura robes, accompanied by a stern-looking monocled witch. "What's all this, then?" the monocled witch demanded, striding forward with authority. "Dolores, why are my auras being dispatched for a simple inquiry?" "Madam Bones," Umbridge sputtered. "This doesn't concern your department. We're handling a creature control matter. That's Harry Potter you're referring to." Madam Bones cut her off sharply. "Hardly under the jurisdiction of the Beast Division." She turned to Tonks. Report Order. Director, I received intelligence that Undersecretary Umbridge was planning an unauthorized seizure of a magical minor without proper documentation or Wisengamot approval. Tonks stated formally. Given the subject's importance, I thought it prudent to inform you directly. Indeed, Bones said drily, eyeing Umbridge with evident distaste. And I see the reports were accurate. She turned to Harry and Logan, her expression neutral but not hostile. Mr. Potter, I presume? And companion? Logan. He supplied again, not retracting his claws but shifting to a slightly less aggressive stance. Bones took in the scene, including Harry's exposed magical adamantium and Logan's extended claws. To her credit, she displayed only mild surprise. I see we have a complex situation here, she observed. But one thing is quite clear, no magical child, regardless of special circumstances, will be classified as a beast or forcibly removed from their guardians without proper legal proceedings. The minister gave me full authority, Umbridge began. To investigate, Bones interrupted. Not to kidnap children based on physical differences. The Wisengamot would have something to say about such overreach, Dolores, ministers backing or not. Umbridge's face contorted with fury, but she was clearly outmatched. Madame Bones had the authority of the DMLE behind her, and the other officials seemed more inclined to follow her lead than Umbridge's. This isn't over, Umbridge hissed. The boy is clearly dangerous, a contamination of wizard and muggle technology. The ministry will not allow such an abomination to roam freely. That's enough, Dolores, Bones said sharply. Return to the ministry immediately. We will discuss your conduct in this matter later. With a final venomous glare at Harry and Logan, Umbridge turned on her heel and disapparated with a crack that seemed to express her fury. Her companions followed moments later, leaving Bones, Tonks, McGonagall, Remus, Logan, and Harry alone in the clearing. Well, Bones said after a moment, turning to Harry. It seems we have much to discuss, Mr. Potter. Absolutely fascinating, Dr. Essex murmured, reviewing the magical readings on his modified instruments. The boy's energy signature has stabilized since the bonding. The magical adamantium appears to be fully integrated, acting as both conduit and amplifier. The underground laboratory, relocated since the disaster 6 months earlier, hummed with activity as scientists and technicians worked on various projects. But Essex's primary focus remained Project X-Wizard, as he dubbed it, his study of the unique combination of mutant adamantium and magical energy. The ministry's attempt to apprehend the subject failed, reported a thin man in nondescript robes, standing deferentially near Essex's workstation. Bones intervened. As anticipated, Essex nodded, unconcerned. The ministry's bureaucracy works to our advantage. Their internal conflicts provide excellent cover for our operations. The boy's powers are growing, the robed man observed, glancing at the energy readings. Umbridge team reported he can now channel magic directly through the adamantium. Yes, Essex smiled coldly. Phase 1 was more successful than I dared hope, despite Wolverine's interruption. The magical properties altered the adamantium bonding in ways I'm only beginning to understand. Combining mutant healing factors with magical resistance has created something entirely new. The Dark Lord will be most interested in these developments, the robed man commented carefully. Essex turned, fixing his informant with a penetrating stare. Your master remains in his diminished state, correct? Barely more than a wraith? The man nodded reluctantly. For now. But there are plans for his restoration. Plans that would benefit greatly from our research, Essex suggested smoothly. Imagine a restored body with the resilience of adamantium and the regenerative properties we've observed in the boy. The robed man's eyes widened slightly. You believe such a thing is possible? With the right subject, the right preparation, and the right magical rituals? Essex smiled thinly. I believe many things are possible at the intersection of mutation and magic. Your Dark Lord's goals and mine may be more compatible than either of us initially realized. What do you propose? Essex turned back to his monitors, where footage of Harry's confrontation with Umbridge played silently. The boy's magical adamantium claws gleamed as he extended them. A partnership. My scientific expertise, your master's magical knowledge. Together, we can perfect what we've begun with the Potter boy. And perhaps, find applications for your master's particular situation. And the boy himself? Essex's expression hardened. He remains essential to our research. The only successful combination of adamantium and magic thus far. We need to study him further. Preferably directly. The Wolverine protects him fiercely. Yes, Essex acknowledged. Logan's protective instincts have always been his greatest weakness. We'll use that against him. He tapped a command into his computer, bringing up a new set of images, schematics for what appeared to be a more extensive adamantium bonding procedure, modified with magical components. Phase 2 requires a more controlled environment than our last attempt. Essex continued. Proper preparation of both the subject and the adamantium. And a method to neutralize Wolverine without damaging him. He remains valuable to other projects. The ministry might yet prove useful. The robed man suggested. Umbridge is furious at being thwarted. She continues to push for the boy to be classified under beast control regulations. Political pressure from above, scientific interest from below. Essex nodded approvingly. The vice tightens. But we must move carefully. The boy's growing abilities make him more dangerous, not less. And now that Bones is involved. What is our timeline? Essex considered this, studying the latest readings from his instruments. The magical adamantium continues to evolve in response to the boy's emotional states and magical development. I would prefer to observe this process further before attempting Phase 2. He turned to the robed man with a calculating smile. Tell your master I'm open to discussion. His magical knowledge combined with my scientific expertise could yield evolutionary results. For both our interests. As the robed informant departed, Essex returned his attention to the footage of Harry, freezing on a frame where the boy's claws were fully extended, glowing with magical energy. Weapon X Wizard. He murmured appreciatively. Only the beginning of what's possible. The weeks following the confrontation with Umbridge brought significant changes. With their location compromised, Logan had initially wanted to relocate completely, perhaps even leave Britain altogether. But Harry's growing connection to the magical world, and the practical reality that magical authorities could track him almost anywhere, led to a different solution. McGonagall offered them a small cottage on the edge of her family lands in the Scottish Highlands, protected by centuries-old wards that she reinforced with additional enchantments designed specifically to mask Harry's unique magical signature. Not even Albus could find you here without my permission, she assured them as they settled into their new home. The McGonagall wards are nearly as old as Hogwarts itself, and far less widely understood. The cottage itself was a significant upgrade from Remus's simple dwelling, a sturdy stone building with 3 bedrooms, a spacious living area with a massive fireplace, and a kitchen that delighted Harry with its blend of magical and mundane amenities. "This is brilliant!" he exclaimed, discovering that the old-fashioned stove lit itself at a tap of his focused staff. "We can actually cook proper meals now." Logan, who had been teaching Harry basic cooking skills with their limited equipment at the previous locations, found himself grudgingly appreciative of the improvement. "Least we won't be eating charred rabbit every other night." Their new circumstance brought another change, a more formalized approach to Harry's education. With Madame Bones now aware of Harry's situation, an official but discreet arrangement was established. Harry would remain with Logan as his primary guardian, with McGonagall serving as his magical guardian and overseeing his magical education. A compromise that satisfies the letter of the law while protecting Harry's freedom and safety. Bones had explained during a private meeting at the cottage. Not ideal from a regulatory standpoint, perhaps, but given the circumstances. Given that Umbridge wants to classify him as a dangerous beast, you mean? Tonks had interjected bluntly. Bones had merely adjusted her monocle. Precisely. Dolores has been temporarily reassigned to minimize her interference, but her views have support in certain ministry circles. It's best we establish a clear legal framework for Harry's situation before she regains influence. Now, 3 months into their new arrangement, Harry's days had fallen into a productive routine. Mornings still began with Logan's physical training, now expanded to include more extensive work with Harry's claws. They'd discovered that the magical adamantium responded differently to various fighting styles, flowing more smoothly when Harry moved instinctively rather than overthinking his actions. "It's like the metal knows what you want before you do," Logan observed one morning, watching Harry execute a complex sequence of movements with his claws extended. "Responds to intent, not just muscle." "Like magic," Harry agreed, retracting his claws and flexing his hand. The pain of extension and retraction had diminished significantly with practice, now just a brief sting rather than the searing agony of the early days. Afternoons brought magical instruction, rotating between McGonagall, Remus, and occasionally Tonks, who had been officially assigned as a ministry liaison, for Harry's case, a position Bones had created specifically to keep Harry's situation under friendly supervision. "Technically, I'm monitoring your integration into Wizarding Society," Tonks explained with a wink during one of her visits. "Practically, I'm here to make sure no one from the ministry bothers you without going through proper channels," meaning Bones herself. Harry had taken to Tonks immediately, delighting in her metamorphomagus abilities and irreverent humor. She became something of an older sister figure, bringing news from the wizarding world and treating Harry like a normal kid despite his extraordinary circumstances. "You know what you need," she declared one rainy afternoon after a particularly intensive training session. "To learn how to play Exploding Snap like a proper wizard kid. Not everything has to be about fighting and surviving." Logan, who had been skeptical of Tonks at first, gradually came to appreciate her influence. The kid needed normal interactions, needed to laugh and play and be a child sometimes, despite everything that had happened to him. Tonks provided that balance to the more serious instruction from Remus and McGonagall, and the survival training from Logan himself. It was during one such light-hearted afternoon, with Harry and Tonks engaged in a particularly rowdy game of Exploding Snap while Logan cleaned his hunting knife nearby, that Remus arrived with an unexpected visitor, Albus Dumbledore. Logan tensed immediately, rising to his feet as the old wizard entered the cottage. Harry, sensing the shift in atmosphere, looked up from the game, his right arm automatically shifting closer to his body in a protective gesture he'd developed. "Logan, Harry," Remus said carefully. "Albus has some information he feels we should be aware of. I've vouched for his discretion." Dumbledore inclined his head slightly. "I apologize for the unannounced visit. I assure you, I've come not as Hogwarts headmaster or chief warlock, but as someone with knowledge that may be critical to Harry's safety." Logan crossed his arms. "What kind of knowledge? May we sit?" Dumbledore asked politely. At Logan's terse nod, he settled into an armchair by the fire, his colorful robes contrasting sharply with the rustic setting. "I've been investigating the organization that modified Harry. Particularly their interest in combining Muggle technology with magical abilities." Harry, who had moved to stand near Logan, asked, "Have you found them?" "Not precisely," Dumbledore admitted. "But I've discovered disturbing connections." "The scientist who led the procedure, Essex," Logan growled. "Yes, Dr. Nathaniel Essex. He appears to have a particular interest in genetics and evolution that spans decades. Far more decades than should be possible for a Muggle." "What are you saying?" Remus asked. "I believe Dr. Essex may not be entirely Muggle himself," Dumbledore explained. "There are references in certain obscure magical texts to a figure matching his description and interests dating back to the late 19th century." "He's immortal?" Tonks asked incredulously. "Perhaps not immortal, but certainly long-lived beyond normal Muggle means," Dumbledore replied. "And his interest in Harry may not be purely scientific. My sources suggest he's been in contact with former Death Eaters." Logan's posture stiffened. "Voldemort's followers." "Indeed," Dumbledore confirmed gravely. "Which raises the concerning possibility that Essex's interest in combining adamantium with magic may ultimately serve Voldemort's return to power." Harry paled slightly. You think they want to use what they did to me to help Voldemort? It's a theory only, Dumbledore cautioned, but one that aligns with certain prophecy elements and recent magical disturbances in areas known to have dark connections. What exactly are you suggesting? Logan demanded. That Harry faces threats from multiple directions now, Dumbledore replied. The Ministry's bureaucratic desire to control him as the boy who lived. Essex's scientific interest in his unique condition. And potentially Death Eaters who see him as both a symbol to be destroyed and a source of magical technological knowledge that could benefit their master. So everyone wants a piece of him. Logan summarized flatly. Tell us something we don't know. What I know, Dumbledore said, leaning forward slightly, is that Harry needs more protection than even your impressive abilities can provide, Mr. Logan. He needs the full resources of those who would stand against Voldemort's return. You're talking about bringing him into the open, Logan realized. Making him a public figure again. Not necessarily, Dumbledore countered. But preparation for his eventual return to Wizarding Society, yes. Harry will attend Hogwarts next year when he turns 11. The question is whether he arrives as an unknown quantity, or with allies already in place. Harry looked up at Logan, a question in his eyes. They'd discussed Hogwarts extensively over the past months, weighing the benefits of formal magical education against the risks of public exposure. What kind of allies? Harry asked, turning back to Dumbledore. Those who would see you as Harry first, not as a weapon or a symbol, Dumbledore answered. Minerva, of course. Certain trustworthy faculty members. Perhaps a few families with children your age who understand discretion. The Weasleys? Remus suggested. Dumbledore nodded. Arthur and Molly would be excellent candidates. Their youngest son will be in Harry's year at Hogwarts. Logan wasn't convinced. More people who know about Harry means more risk of exposure. But also more eyes watching out for threats, Tonks countered. No offense, Logan, but you're not exactly familiar with magical dangers. She has a point, Remus added gently. There are aspects of magical protection that require, well, magic. Logan looked down at Harry, who had been listening to the exchange with thoughtful attention. What do you think, kid? It's your life. Harry considered for a moment. I think I need to learn more about the magical world if I'm going to survive in it. And if people are going to come after me anyway. Better to have backup. Logan finished with grudging agreement. There's another consideration, Dumbledore said carefully. Harry's unique abilities. At Hogwarts, we could provide specialized training to help him integrate his magical adamantium into traditional magical education. And keep it secret from the other students? Logan asked skeptically. That would be challenging, Dumbledore acknowledged. But not impossible with proper precautions. And perhaps there's value in controlled revelation rather than inevitable discovery. You want to use me as a deterrent? Harry realized suddenly. If people know what I can do, some of them might think twice about coming after me. Dumbledore's blue eyes twinkled with something like approval. You have your mother's insight, Harry. Yes, there is a strategic element to consider. Fear of the unknown is powerful, but sometimes a known and unique defense can be even more effective at preventing conflict. Logan didn't like it, but he had to admit there was logic to the argument. He'd spent his life hiding what he was, and still ended up hunted. Maybe the kid could walk a different path. We're not deciding anything today, Logan stated firmly. But we'll consider the options. That's all I ask, Dumbledore replied, rising from his chair. In the meantime, I brought something that might help Harry understand more about his parents and their time at Hogwarts. He withdrew a small package wrapped in simple brown paper. Photographs and memories from those who knew them best. I thought perhaps as he prepares for his own Hogwarts journey, he might appreciate the connection. Harry accepted the package with visible emotion. Thank you, sir. As Dumbledore prepared to depart, he paused near Logan. Despite our differences in approach, Mr. Logan, I believe we share the same fundamental goal, Harry's well-being. I hope we can find common ground in that shared purpose. Logan studied the old wizard carefully. For all his manipulation and secretiveness, Dumbledore did seem genuinely concerned for Harry. "Kid stays with me," Logan said firmly. "Even if he goes to your school." "I anticipated as much." Dumbledore nodded. "Arrangements can be made for weekends and holidays. And perhaps special accommodations given Harry's unique situation." After Dumbledore had departed, Harry sat at the kitchen table, carefully unwrapping the package. Inside were dozens of wizarding photographs, moving images of a young couple Logan recognized from Harry's descriptions as Lily and James Potter, surrounded by friends at Hogwarts, at their wedding, and finally, holding an infant Harry. "They look happy," Harry said softly, touching a photograph of his parents dancing at their wedding. "They do," Logan agreed, watching Harry's expression closely. "I want to go," Harry said suddenly, looking up at Logan. "To Hogwarts, I mean. But not if it means leaving you." Something warm expanded in Logan's chest, a feeling he was still getting used to after decades of emotional isolation. "Not getting rid of me that easy, kid. If you want to go to wizard school, we'll make it work." "Really?" Harry's face lit up. "Really," Logan confirmed. "But with conditions. You stay alert. You keep your skills sharp. And the first sign of trouble, I know." Harry nodded seriously. "Plan B." Tonks, who had been watching the exchange with unusual quietness, spoke up. "You know, it's kind of brilliant actually. Everyone expects the boy who lived to be this traditional wizard hero type. No one's prepared for Harry Potter, Weapon X Wizard." Harry made a face. "Don't call me that. I'm not a weapon." "No," Logan agreed, ruffling Harry's hair. "You're just a kid with some extra sharp cutlery built in. Makes opening packages easier, at least." Harry laughed, and for a moment, despite the looming complications of Hogwarts and Essex and Voldemort's shadowy supporters, the cottage felt simply like a home, a place where a very unusual family could find moments of normalcy amid extraordinary circumstances. The warehouse on the outskirts of Aberdeen had been abandoned for years, its neglected exterior hiding the sophisticated magical and technological facility within. Logan crouched on the rooftop of an adjacent building, enhanced senses gathering information as he surveyed the seemingly empty structure. 16 guards, he reported quietly into the enchanted communication device McGonagall had provided. Mix of magical and non-magical. Rotating patrol pattern. Main lab appears to be on the lower level. Confirmed, Tonks's voice responded. Magical signatures match what we detected at the previous Essex facility. Definite dark magic elements. Logan's jaw tightened. The intelligence from Dumbledore's sources had proven accurate. Essex had established a new research facility in Scotland, continuing his work on combining magical and mutant elements. More disturbing, increased Death Eater activity had been reported in the area, suggesting the alliance Dumbledore feared was indeed forming. "What's the plan?" Harry asked through his own communication device, positioned with Remus at the extraction point a safe distance away. "Tonks and I go in first," Logan answered. "Confirm it's the right target. If it is, McGonagall signals the Ministry team. Harry, you stay put until we give the all-clear." "But," Harry began to protest. "No buts," Logan cut him off firmly. "We had a deal. You help with reconnaissance only. First sign of Essex, you stay back." 6 months of preparation had led to this moment. After Dumbledore's warning about Essex's possible connections to Death Eaters, they'd intensified their efforts to locate and neutralize the threat before Harry's 11th birthday and his more public entry into the wizarding world. Madame Bones had assembled a small, trusted team within the DMLE, officially tasked with investigating illegal experimentation on magical beings but secretly focused on finding Essex. With Tonks as their liaison and McGonagall's political backing at Hogwarts, they'd gradually pieced together Essex's movements since the failed procedure on Harry. "Movement at the east entrance," Tonks reported. 2 robed figures, definitely magical signatures, but something off about them. "I see them," Logan confirmed, his enhanced vision picking out the dark-robed figures entering the warehouse. Not Death Eater masks, but not regular wizards either. Could be Essex's magical collaborators, McGonagall suggested from her position coordinating with Bones's team. The wards around that facility show signs of blood magic, not something Essex could manage without magical assistance. Logan made a quick decision. I'm moving in closer. Need to confirm if Essex himself is present before we call in the ministry team. Be careful, Harry urged through the communication device. Essex knows your abilities. And I know his, Logan replied grimly. Moving silently across the rooftops, Logan approached the warehouse from the blind spot in the patrol pattern he'd identified. The scent of antiseptic and metal grew stronger, the same clinical smell that had permeated the facility where Harry had been transformed. Anger stirred in Logan's chest, but he pushed it down, focusing on the mission. I'm going in, he murmured. Maintain positions. With practiced ease, Logan scaled down the side of the building, keeping to the shadows. A quick slash of his claws created an opening in the warehouse's outer wall, bypassing the main entrances and their likely magical wards. Inside, the warehouse's industrial appearance gave way quickly to the sleek, high-tech laboratory setup Logan remembered from their previous encounter with Essex. Keeping low, he moved between equipment banks, following the sounds of conversation from deeper within the facility. Integration continues to show promising results. A familiar voice reached Logan's enhanced hearing. Essex. The modified adamantium accepts magical infusion at a molecular level, though we still haven't replicated the spontaneous magical bonding that occurred with the Potter boy. The Dark Lord grows impatient. A second voice replied, one of the robed figures Logan had spotted. These experiments yield interesting results, but no practical application for his restoration. Your master's restoration requires more than just technical solutions, Essex responded coolly. The magical components, the ritual elements your people are responsible for, must align precisely with the biological enhancements I'm developing. And the Potter boy? Your obsession with recapturing him delays our progress. The Potter boy represents the only successful magical adamantium bonding in existence, Essex stated flatly. His unique physiology, combined with his magical core, created something we've been unable to replicate. For your master's restoration to include the advantages of adamantium enhancement, we need either the boy himself or enough data from him to solve the integration problem. Logan had heard enough. He activated the communication device. Essex confirmed present. Discussing Harry and Voldemort's restoration with robed associate. Definite connection established. Ministry team is on standby. McGonagall responded. Bones awaits your signal. Not yet, Logan cautioned. Need to identify how many magical hostiles are present. Don't want any escaping in the confusion. He crept closer to the central laboratory, where Essex and the robed figure stood before a massive containment tank filled with silvery liquefied adamantium, Logan recognized with a chill, modified with what appeared to be swirls of magical energy. Our latest subject arrives tonight, Essex was saying. A captured werewolf your people provided. The combination of lycanthropic regeneration with magical adamantium could yield the breakthrough we need. The robed figure nodded. Greyback will be disappointed to lose one of his pack, but the Dark Lord's priorities supersede his. Logan's blood ran cold. They were planning to subject another unwilling victim to adamantium bonding, someone with enhanced healing, like him. Like what they tried with Harry. Abort reconnaissance. Logan growled into the communicator. They have a captive incoming. Switching to rescue and containment protocol. Logan, wait for backup, McGonagall urged. No time, Logan replied. Signal Bones now. I'm engaging. Without waiting for a response, Logan rose from his hiding place, claws extending with a metallic snick that echoed in the laboratory. Essex turned slowly, a smile spreading across his face as he recognized the sound. Wolverine. How predictable. It's over, Essex, Logan growled, advancing steadily. Your lab, your experiments, all of it. Essex seemed unconcerned, even as the robed figure beside him drew a wand. On the contrary, Logan. Your arrival simply accelerates our timeline. I had planned to recover the boy eventually, but having you here, well, that presents certain opportunities. You're not touching the kid again. Logan snarled. Perhaps not directly. Essex conceded. But indirectly? I've been monitoring his progress from afar. The magical adamantium continues to evolve in fascinating ways. I've gathered considerable data already. The realization hit Logan hard. You've been tracking him somehow. The adamantium contains certain markers. Not enough for precise location tracking, but sufficient to monitor broad magical and physical patterns. Essex gestured to a bank of monitors behind him, several displaying waveform patterns Logan recognized as similar to those from Harry's early examinations after the procedure. You sick bastard. Logan growled, muscles tensing for attack. Science requires observation, Essex replied indifferently. But direct examination would yield so much more. He nodded to the robed figure beside him. Now. The wizard raised his wand, but Logan was already moving, diving sideways as a jet of red light shot past him. Alarms blared throughout the facility as Logan rolled to his feet, claws slashing through the nearest equipment bank in a shower of sparks. Security breach in main laboratory, an automated voice announced. Initiating containment protocols. Heavy metal shutters began descending over the exits as armed guards poured into the laboratory. Logan counted at least 10, a mix of Muggle security with advanced weapons and wizards with raised wands. Capture only, Essex ordered sharply. I need him intact. Through his communicator, Logan could hear the chatter of his team responding to the situation. Ministry team moving in, McGonagall reported urgently. Hold position if possible. Negative. Logan grunted, ducking behind a large piece of equipment as spellfire erupted around him. Too many hostiles. Essex is escaping with the robed contact. Indeed, Essex and the wizard were retreating toward a rear exit, protected by a phalanx of guards laying down suppressive fire. I'm moving to cut off their escape, Logan decided, plotting a path through the chaos. Logan, wait. Harry's voice came through the communicator suddenly. I can help. My claws can cut through magical barriers. If they've warded the exits, stay put, kid, Logan ordered firmly. This isn't. His communication was cut short as a spell hit the device, shattering it. Logan swore under his breath, now cut off from his team. With no choice but to continue alone, he charged through the laboratory, claws slashing through equipment and guards alike as he pursued Essex. He caught a glimpse of the scientist disappearing through a doorway, followed by the robed wizard who turned back to face Logan with a malevolent smile. The wizard raised his wand, not toward Logan but toward the ceiling above him. Bombarda Maxima, the wizard called. The explosion ripped through the laboratory, bringing down a section of the ceiling directly over Logan. Even with his reflexes, he couldn't completely avoid the falling debris. Pain lanced through him as a steel support beam pinned him to the ground, impaling him through the abdomen. Logan roared in pain and frustration, using his claws to begin cutting through the beam. His healing factor was already working on the wound, but freeing himself would take precious time Essex would use to escape. Through the dust and smoke, Logan suddenly heard a familiar sound, the distinctive metallic swish of adamantium claws cutting through the air, but lighter, accompanied by a magical hum he'd come to recognize instantly. Harry! Logan called out in alarm. I told you to stay back. When do I ever listen? Harry's voice replied as he materialized through the smoke, focused staff in his left hand, magical adamantium claws extended from his right. The glowing green energy surrounding his claws illuminated his determined face as he surveyed the situation. Need a hand? Before Logan could respond, Harry raised his focused staff toward the beam pinning Logan. Wingardium Leviosa! He called, and the massive steel beam began to rise, just enough for Logan to pull himself free. You shouldn't be here, Logan growled, rising unsteadily as his wound began to heal. Essex is getting away, Harry countered, gesturing toward the door where the scientist had disappeared. And I can track him. What? Harry held up his right arm, where the magical adamantium lattice was glowing intensely. I can feel it, the connection to the adamantium he's working with. It's like it's calling to mine. Logan wanted to argue, to send Harry back to safety, but the kid's determined expression told him it would be futile. And if Harry really could track Essex... Stay behind me, Logan ordered. First sign of serious danger, you fall back. No arguments. Harry nodded quickly. Through here, he said, leading the way toward the door Essex had used. They entered a long corridor that sloped downward, clearly leading to some underground portion of the facility. Magical barriers shimmered at regular intervals, wards designed to prevent pursuit. I can handle these, Harry said with confidence, extending his claws fully. The magical adamantium hummed with energy as he slashed through the first barrier, the ward dissolving in a shower of green sparks. The magical part of my claws disrupts the spell matrix. Remus has been teaching me about it. Logan couldn't help the flash of pride, quickly suppressed by the urgency of their situation. Ministry team should be inside by now. We just need to delay Essex until they reach us. They moved quickly through the corridor, Harry slashing through magical barriers while Logan dealt with the occasional guard they encountered. The boy moved with surprising grace and confidence, his months of training evident in every precise movement. It's getting stronger, Harry reported as they descended deeper, his claws glowing more intensely. Whatever he's working with, it's like a bigger version of what's in me. The corridor ended at a massive vault door, both mechanically and magically sealed. Harry placed his hand against it, his expression concentrating. There's a lot in there, he murmured. Not just adamantium. Magic too. Dark magic. Logan studied the door, noting the sophisticated locking mechanism. Can you get us through? Harry nodded, stepping back slightly. Together. Your claws for the mechanical parts, mine for the magical. Working in tandem, they attacked the vault door, Logan's pure adamantium claws slicing through the metal bolts while Harry's magical claws disrupted the magical seals. The door gave way with a hiss of escaping pressure, swinging open to reveal a cavernous chamber beyond. Inside, a scene straight from Logan's nightmares awaited them. Massive tanks of liquefied adamantium lined the walls, modified with swirling magical energy that cast an eerie glow throughout the space. In the center stood an apparatus Logan recognized immediately, an adamantium bonding chamber, similar to the one he'd been subjected to, but modified with magical components. And standing beside it, apparently expecting them, were Essex and not one but 3 robed wizards, wands raised and ready. Harry Potter, Essex greeted with unsettling pleasure. How convenient of you to deliver yourself to us. And with such a fascinating demonstration of your abilities. Logan moved protectively in front of Harry, claws extended. It's over, Essex. Ministry forces are already in the building. Temporarily inconvenient, Essex acknowledged indifferently. But not insurmountable. Especially now that the primary subject has arrived voluntarily. One of the robed wizards stepped forward, lowering his hood to reveal a pale, pointed face with long blonde hair. So this is the famous boy who lived, he drawled. With his interesting modifications. Lucius Malfoy. Harry identified the man, surprising Logan. You were a Death Eater. Claimed to be under the Imperious curse after Voldemort fell. Malfoy's eye twitched at the casual use of Voldemort's name. You're well informed for a child. And remarkably altered from what the wizarding world expects of their savior. A successful combination of magical core and adamantium enhancement, Essex explained, eyeing Harry with clinical interest. The only completely successful integration to date, despite our subsequent attempts. Harry's expression hardened as he realized the implication. You've been experimenting on other people? Other wizards? None with your unique properties, Essex replied. The combination of your magical core, your connection to the killing curse, and the particular circumstances of the procedure created something unique. Something we've been unable to replicate precisely. Which is why you're so valuable, Mr. Potter. Malfoy added coldly. Both for research purposes and for certain, ritual applications. Logan had heard enough. With a feral growl, he launched himself toward Essex and the wizards. "Harry, get back!" Spells erupted from the wizards' wands as Logan attacked, most missing as he moved with inhuman speed. One caught him in the shoulder, sending him spinning sideways with surprising force. "Improved stunning spells?" Essex commented clinically. "Modified specifically for enhanced subjects like yourself, Wolverine. Magical energy calibrated to disrupt your nervous system regardless of your healing factor." Logan fought through the effect, forcing his body to respond despite the magical energy interfering with his muscles. But before he could regain his feet, all three wizards cast simultaneously. "Incarcerus Adamantium," they intoned in unison. Magical chains shot from their wands, but unlike normal conjured restraints, these gleamed with the distinctive sheen of adamantium, infused with magic that made them glow with dark energy. The chains wrapped around Logan, binding him with unbreakable force, metal that even his claws couldn't cut, enhanced with magic specifically designed to hold him. "Logan!" Harry cried out, rushing forward despite the danger. "A touching display of loyalty," Essex observed. "But ultimately futile. Those restraints were designed specifically for Wolverine, based on our extensive research into his adamantium. Magic and metal working in perfect harmony, a theme of our partnership." Harry skidded to a halt, his magical claws fully extended and glowing intensely. "Let him go," he demanded, his young voice steady despite the fear Logan could smell on him. "I think not," Malfoy replied smoothly. "In fact, you'll be joining him shortly. Less permanently restrained, of course. We have plans for you, Mr. Potter." "Big mistake," Harry said quietly, and Logan recognized the focused expression that preceded Harry's most powerful magical displays. Without warning, Harry slashed his claws through the air in front of him, not toward any physical target but through the very magical energy surrounding them. The effect was immediate and spectacular. The magical fields maintaining the laboratory's equipment fluctuated wildly, alarms blaring as systems failed across the chamber. "Fascinating," Essex murmured, even as chaos erupted around them. "He's disrupting the ambient magic at a fundamental level." Malfoy and the other wizards were less appreciative, casting shields and offensive spells toward Harry. But the boy had been well trained by Logan, McGonagall, and Remus. He moved with fluid grace, his small size an advantage as he ducked and weaved between spells, his magical claws slicing through magical barriers as if they were tissue paper. "The adamantium restraints," Essex shouted to the wizards. "Use the same binding on the boy." Logan fought against his bonds with renewed fury, the chains refusing to yield even to his inhuman strength. He watched in helpless rage as the wizards coordinated their attack on Harry, driving him into a defensive position. Then something unexpected happened. As one of Malfoy's spells struck near Harry's feet, the boy instinctively raised his clawed hand to defend himself. The spell, instead of impacting his hastily conjured shield, seemed to be absorbed directly into his claws. The magical adamantium glowed brilliantly, pulsing with energy. Harry looked as surprised as everyone else for a split second, then a determined expression crossed his face. He pointed his claws directly at the adamantium tanks lining the walls and released the absorbed magical energy in a focus beam. The effect was catastrophic. The tanks ruptured, spilling magically enhanced liquefied adamantium across the laboratory floor. Equipment shorted out, magical fields collapsed, and the entire chamber began to shake as secondary explosions rippled through the facility. "No!" Essex shouted, genuine alarm replacing his clinical detachment. "The adamantium is unstable in this state. The magical resonance will..." Whatever warning he intended was cut off as another explosion rocked the chamber, larger than the previous ones. Malfoy and the other wizards abandoned their attack on Harry, casting protective shields around themselves as sections of ceiling began to collapse. "We must evacuate," Malfoy ordered sharply. "This entire facility is compromised." Essex hesitated, looking from the spreading destruction to Harry with clear reluctance. "The boy is not worth our lives." Malfoy cut him off. "We'll find another way." The Dark Lord will understand tactical retreat. With obvious frustration, Essex nodded. He cast a final, calculating look at Harry, who stood protectively near Logan's restrained form. "This isn't over, young Mr. Potter," Essex called over the noise of the collapsing facility. "You've merely delayed the inevitable. What you are, what I've helped you become, cannot be undone. And sooner or later you'll need answers that only I can provide." With that ominous promise, Essex and the wizards activated some kind of emergency evacuation protocol. A swirling portal of magic and technology combined opened behind them, and they stepped through, disappearing just as another section of ceiling crashed down where they had stood. "Harry!" Logan called urgently. "Get out of here. This place is coming down." Instead of fleeing, Harry rushed to Logan's side, examining the magical adamantium chains with determined focus. "I can break these," he insisted. "They're made of the same stuff as my claws, just differently configured." "There's no time," Logan argued. "Save yourself, kid." Harry ignored him, placing his clawed hand directly on the chains. "Trust me," he said with surprising calm. "I can feel how they're made. The magical matrix inside them." Closing his eyes in concentration, Harry allowed his magical adamantium to interface directly with the chains. Green energy flowed from his claws into the restraints, disrupting the magical patterns holding them together. The chains began to vibrate, then crack, magical energy leaking out in brilliant emerald flashes. With a final surge of power, Harry shattered the chains completely. Logan broke free, rising quickly to his feet as the chamber continued to collapse around them. "Nice work, kid," he said, grabbing Harry's shoulder. "Now let's get out of here before we're buried." They raced through the disintegrating facility, Logan leading the way with his enhanced senses guiding them through smoke-filled corridors and around structural collapses. Harry used his claws to cut through debris when necessary, the magical adamantium slicing through obstacles both physical and magical with equal ease. They emerged into chaos. The Ministry raid was in full swing, with Oris battling remaining guards and securing the facility perimeter. Tonks spotted them first, rushing over with visible relief. "There you are! We thought you were trapped when the lower levels started collapsing." "Essex?" Logan demanded. "Gone," Tonks confirmed grimly. "Him and at least 3 high-level Death Eaters, according to magical signatures. Malfa among them, we think. They had some kind of emergency exit," Harry explained breathlessly. "A portal combining technology and magic. Bones is going to have kittens," Tonks muttered. "The minister's already breathing down her neck about unauthorized operations against respected members of Wizarding Society like Malfoy." McGonagall hurried over, her normally impeccable appearance somewhat disheveled from the battle. "Thank Merlin you're both alive," she said, briefly placing a hand on Harry's shoulder in an uncharacteristic display of affection. "What happened down there?" Logan quickly summarized while Harry caught his breath, explaining Essex's plans for using Harry's unique condition to enhance Voldemort's eventual restoration, and the alliance with Death Eaters that had clearly progressed further than they'd feared. "At least we've destroyed their primary research facility," McGonagall noted, surveying the collapsing warehouse. "That should delay whatever they're planning." "But they got away with their research data," Logan pointed out grimly. "And they've been monitoring Harry somehow through the adamantium." Harry looked down at his arm with new wariness. "Can they track me? Know where I am?" Essex said it was limited, not precise location tracking but monitoring of patterns, Logan recalled. "Still, we need to find a way to block it completely. I might be able to help with that." A new voice joined their conversation. They turned to see Madame Bones approaching, her monocle slightly askew but her bearing as authoritative as ever. "We've captured several of their magical research staff. With proper interrogation we may learn how to counter their monitoring methods." She surveyed Harry with professional interest, noting his still extended claws which he had forgotten to retract in the chaos. "Mr. Potter, it seems reports of your unique abilities were not exaggerated." Harry hastily retracted his claws, wincing slightly as the skin between his knuckles healed. "Sorry, Madame Bones," No apology necessary, she replied with surprising gentleness. In fact, I believe I owe you thanks. Your intervention, while against protocol, appears to have been instrumental in disrupting a significant threat to wizarding security. Logan placed a protective hand on Harry's shoulder. The kid did good, he acknowledged gruffly. But he shouldn't have been in danger in the first place. Agreed. Bones nodded. Though I suspect keeping Harry Potter out of danger is a challenge that has defeated greater wizards than myself. She glanced meaningfully at McGonagall, who gave a small, knowing nod. As the Ministry team secured the site and began processing captured personnel, Logan drew Harry aside to a quiet corner of the perimeter. You okay, kid? He asked, checking Harry over for injuries with practiced eyes. I'm fine, Harry assured him, though Logan could see the fatigue settling in now that the adrenaline was fading. The claws, they did something new in there. Absorbing magic and then redirecting it. Yeah, I saw that. Logan nodded. Your control's improving. Harry looked up at him seriously. Essex said it isn't over. That I'll need answers only he can provide eventually. Logan's jaw tightened. He's trying to get in your head. Make you doubt yourself. But what if he's right? Harry pressed. What if this? He gestured to his arm. Keeps changing? Developing in ways we don't understand? Logan crouched down to Harry's eye level, placing both hands on the boy's shoulders. Listen to me, kid. Whatever happens with your abilities, whatever changes come, we'll figure it out together. You don't need Essex or anyone else telling you what you are or what you can become. That's your choice. Always has been. Harry held Logan's gaze for a long moment, then nodded slowly. Our choice. He corrected. We figure it out together. Something powerful and protective swelled in Logan's chest, a feeling that had become increasingly familiar in the years since he'd found a small, abused boy in a cupboard under the stairs. Without overthinking it, he pulled Harry into a rough hug. Together, he agreed. That's how we do things. Platform 9 3/4 bustled with activity as families bid farewell to students bound for Hogwarts. Steam billowed from the scarlet engine of the Hogwarts Express, mingling with the excited chatter of children and the hooting of owls in cages. Logan stood slightly apart from the crowd, his imposing presence drawing curious glances from wizarding families unused to seeing someone so obviously non-magical on the platform. Beside him, Harry adjusted the special gloves McGonagall had enchanted to help mask his magical adamantium from casual detection. You sure about this, kid? Logan asked, eyeing the train with undisguised skepticism. Harry nodded, more confident than nervous despite the momentous step he was taking. I'm sure. It's time. The past 7 months since the raid on Essex's facility had been intensive preparation for this moment. With the immediate threat disrupted but not eliminated, they'd balanced security concerns with Harry's need for proper magical education. The compromise: Harry would attend Hogwarts as planned, but with unprecedented special arrangements. A small cottage had been established just beyond Hogwarts grounds, connected to the castle by a secure passage known only to McGonagall, Dumbledore, and a few trusted staff members. Logan would stay there, close enough to reach Harry quickly if needed, while Harry lived in the dormitories like any other student. Remember what we discussed, Logan said, helping Harry adjust the trunk containing his school supplies. Weekly check-ins minimum. Any sign of trouble, signal you immediately through the enchanted mirror. Harry finished. I know, Logan. We've been over this 100 times. And the clause, only in absolute emergency. Harry recited dutifully. Keep the focus staff for regular magic. Gloves on in public at all times. And if Essex or any of his people make contact, defensive stance only, create distance, signal for backup. Harry continued. Logan, I remember all of it. I'll be careful. Logan sighed, recognizing the combination of exasperation and affection in Harry's tone. The kid had come so far from the frightened, malnourished boy he'd rescued from the Dursleys. Now, approaching his 11th birthday, Harry stood straight and confident, his lean frame hinting at the training that had become second nature to him. Just looking out for you, kid, Logan said gruffly. Harry's expression softened. I know. And I'm grateful. But I need to do this. Not just for the magic training, but to find my place in this world too. Your place is wherever you choose it to be, Logan reminded him firmly. A familiar voice interrupted their conversation. Harry! Logan! Over here! They turned to see Tonks waving enthusiastically, her hair a vibrant purple today to match her aura robes. Beside her stood Remus, looking more well-rested and better dressed than Logan had ever seen him. Watch her, Harry! Tonks grinned as they approached. Ready for the grand adventure? As ready as I'll ever be, Harry replied with a small smile. Remus clasped Harry's shoulder warmly. Your parents would be so proud of you today, Harry. Starting Hogwarts is a significant milestone for any young wizard. Even one with built-in magical letter openers? Harry quipped, flexing his gloved right hand slightly. Tonks snorted with laughter, while Remus shook his head in mock despair. James would have loved that joke, he assured Harry. Lily would have pretended to disapprove while secretly finding it hilarious. The train whistle blew, signaling 5 minutes until departure. Families began their final goodbyes, children scrambling aboard with last-minute hugs and forgotten items being passed through windows. That's my cue, Harry said, suddenly looking younger and more vulnerable than he had moments before. Logan felt an unfamiliar tightness in his throat. You've got this, kid. Harry nodded, then surprised Logan by throwing his arms around him in a fierce hug. Thank you, he whispered. For everything. Logan returned the embrace awkwardly, still unaccustomed to such open displays of affection despite years of raising Harry. Just doing what needed to be done. Harry pulled back, grinning up at him knowingly. Sure, old man. Whatever you say. He hugged Remus and Tonks quickly, then grabbed his trunk and moved toward the train. Logan watched him go, that strange protective feeling swelling in his chest as it always did when Harry faced something new. Just before boarding, Harry turned back, a mischievous glint in his green eyes. Try not to stab anyone while I'm gone, he called to Logan. Unless they really deserve it. Logan couldn't suppress his smile. No promises, kid. As the Hogwarts Express pulled away from the station, Logan stood alongside Remus and Tonks, watching until it disappeared around a bend. The platform gradually emptied of families, leaving them among the last few stragglers. He'll be all right, Remus assured Logan, correctly reading his concern. Minerva will keep a close eye on him, and Dumbledore has reinforced the castle's security substantially. And I'll be checking in regularly as the official ministry liaison, Tonks added. Plus, you'll be just a stone's throw away in that cottage. Logan nodded, appreciating their attempts at reassurance even as his instincts remained on alert. The threat of Essex and his Death Eater allies still loomed, along with the prophecy and all it entailed for Harry's future. But for now, at least Harry had the chance to experience something approaching normal life, or as normal as life could be for a wizard with magical adamantium claws. Come on, Remus suggested. I'll show you the apparition point for your cottage. You can be settled in before Harry reaches Hogwarts. As they left the platform, Logan cast one final glance in the direction the train had gone, a rare smile touching his usually stern features. Whatever challenges lay ahead, Harry would face them with the unique combination of strength and compassion that had flourished despite, or perhaps because of, everything he'd endured. The Weapon X program had intended to create the perfect weapon when they bonded adamantium to Logan's skeleton. They'd never imagined that their unwilling creation would one day rescue a magical child from a cupboard, or that together, they would forge something stronger than metal or magic alone, a family. And if Essex or Voldemort, or anyone else threatened that family? Well, Logan had a simple response to that. Snicked. In a chamber hidden beneath an ancient manor house, Dr. Nathaniel Essex studied the readings from his modified instruments with clinical interest. The magical technological hybrid monitors displayed energy patterns from a source moving steadily northward, Harry Potter aboard the Hogwarts Express, though the tracking wasn't precise enough for Essex to determine the boy's exact location. The subject has departed London, Essex noted to the robed figure seated nearby. moving towards Scotland, as expected. Hogwarts, the figure confirmed, its voice a rasping whisper that seemed barely human. Where Dumbledore can watch over his precious chosen one. Essex adjusted his instruments, enhancing the sensitivity. The adamantium continues to evolve in response to his magical development. Fascinating adaptation. If we could replicate that process under controlled conditions. You promise progress on my restoration, the figure reminded him coldly. Not endless observations of the Potter boy. The two are connected, Essex explained patiently. What we learn from Potter's unique condition directly informs the modified adamantium formula for your new vessel. The regenerative properties alone, I grow weary of delays, the figure interrupted. My servants have gathered most elements required for the traditional restoration ritual. Your scientific contributions, while potentially valuable, are not indispensable. Essex smiled thinly. Perhaps not. But a traditional restoration would leave you vulnerable to the same weaknesses that led to your downfall before. Whereas a body enhanced with magical adamantium, properly bonded to your essence. The figure shifted slightly, red eyes gleaming from within its hooded robe. Would be nearly indestructible, it acknowledged reluctantly. Precisely, Essex nodded. The boy represents proof that such bonding is possible. With the data we've collected and the resources your followers have provided, I estimate we'll be ready for the enhanced restoration ritual by summer. And Potter himself? Remains valuable for further study, Essex replied carefully. But not strictly necessary now that we understand the fundamental principles of magical adamantium integration. The figure seemed to consider this. Good. Because when I return, the boy will not be studied. He will be eliminated. Prophecy demands it. Essex inclined his head in apparent agreement, though a calculating expression crossed his face briefly. Of course, Lord Voldemort. The boy's purpose is nearly complete. As the spectral form of the Dark Lord departed the chamber, Essex returned to his instruments, watching the energy patterns that represented Harry Potter's unique condition. What he didn't share with Voldemort was his private assessment that the boy's magical adamantium was evolving faster than anticipated, developing properties that might soon make Harry the most powerful magical entity in Britain, perhaps even powerful enough to survive what Essex and Voldemort had planned. The coming year would be most interesting indeed. The end. Thank you for watching this video. Please be sure to subscribe to our channel and like this video.